Hi, everybody. My name is Donna Gorton, and welcome to my show, Willows Bend. Tonight, we are on episode 123, and we're going to be talking about the fifth dimension tonight. That's a topic that got voted on. So, for those who are new to me, who are listening in elsewhere other than Facebook land, the audience chooses the topic for my show. We vote on it in majority rules, and that's what I go out and research and then present the following week. So, with that, the fifth dimension is what got chosen. So if anyone is on Facebook and happens to have any issues watching it there, they can go to YouTube channel for Soma Fusion and watch it there. But we are broadcast globally. Hi, Sandy, both my Sandys. But I will be monitoring my Facebook groups chat in the Willows Bend on Facebook, which anybody who hears it and likes the show, is interested in more content, is more than welcome to join. It is very much a spiritual related group. With that said, there is no nonsense, drama, disrespect, rudeness tolerated of any kind in here ever. I don't put up with any BS. So that being said, we can cover a wide variety of topics ranging from, oh my gosh, we've done everything from spiritual things to cryptids to unexplained archaeology to different scientific topics, theories. I'm also a psychic medium, so I've been known to sometimes bring through a certain soul being to have a discussion with the people in chat with. We've just covered anything and everything under the sun, conspiracy theories, you name it. So anyway, we always vote at the end on the next week's show. So that being said, I also always cast a circle of protection around everyone who is in my show, watching, listening, whatever. So I'm a sage girl, so I use sage for that. And there's the fire for Miss Sandy in my chat. She loves fire. Sorry you're still sore, Sandy. So if you hear me commenting during my show, it's two people who are in my group's chat on Facebook. So anyway, sage burning. So with this sage, I cast a circle of protection to all who are in the show watching tonight, or who may fire it up, be listening out there or watching the replay afterward, that there is no negative intentions or ill will or harm is able to impact or affect any of our members who are listening or viewing it anywhere or any place, time, etc. And also cleanse my stones of all energies except for their own, with the hopes they will work with mine. Sage a Poppy Jake down, who is kind of my Willow's Bend mascot over there, my old boy who is sleeping. My cat's behind me curled up on the bed there. And I sage myself down of all energies except for my own and probably my soul sister Bonnie's, that I may always carry myself for my greater higher good. So I will it, so mote it be. Oh, and also may that protection follow everybody outside of the show into their personal lives as well, to keep them well, happy, and safe. So I will it, so mote it be. So you are very welcome in there, guys. So tonight's topic, again, we're going to be discussing the fifth dimension. And so far, Pretty Purple Fire, it's right. We're going to be, the person who suggested the topic, I don't see her in chat yet, but I know she lives in Colorado. So lots of times she's finishing up work as the show's starting, because of course with the time zone difference, it's like, 3 hours earlier there than here. I am in upstate New York in the United States, for anybody listening and whatever. And I'm glad you feel safer already. That is the intention. And since we've been doing that, there has been no true harm or ill will that's come to anybody, in your personal lives since I've been doing that. So that's a positive thing. or nothing truly negative has come at you or happened to you. Yep, please like and share. Hey, Stacy, how you doing, lady? So, tonight's topic, like I said, is the fifth dimension. Now, I actually can learn some stuff on this that I didn't know beforehand. Now, for myself personally, those who know me know that I'm a teacher of anything I can, basically, of higher vibrational things. I carry myself in that higher vibrational state most of the time. And I had always viewed the fifth dimension as being a separate place that higher soul beings lived, higher guides, angels, guides, teachers. There's a whole plethora of different higher beings that can live there. But I've always looked at it as being a separate location. And that really isn't what it's about. So we're going to delve into that tonight of just what it is, how it plays out spiritually, in addition to like what are some of the symptoms one can experience when getting to that mindset, and how to help work with those and resolve them as they may come up with each person in their individual path. And everybody's journey is their own in this life. And we're not here to make everybody else happy. We really have no control what anyone else says, thinks, or does, only ourselves. That's part of the universal law. Hey, Natalie. And so understanding that you can't change where everyone else is at, as way showers, as those who are light workers, higher vibrational people, all we can do is hope to plant seeds in people and take the hands of those who are willing to come along with us on the journey. But we can't make anybody get there with us. So comprehending that isn't always easy in the moment. But when you see that that's happening, you really have to choose to step back from the situation and or the person, depending on what's going on. Hey, Alice, welcome. And to pull your energy back, refuse to discuss it further with anybody, just because you can't make someone change if they're not ready to and willing to, and then that may not be their path for their journey to walk on, that they will make those changes or get there, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. There is no right or wrong way with that. So that said, learn to recognize that is an important part of the whole thing. And for anybody watching, forgive my appearance, a little rough around the edges and sleep deprived. I had to get up early this morning to be at my garage in the next county over at 9 o'clock this morning. So I had all of about an hour, not quite an hour and a half sleep before having to leave. Just got kicked out of my group on Facebook in order to get there on time. And in the end, I won't say it was a waste of time trip, but at the same time, it didn't all go as planned, which, I roll with it. Hi, Erin. How are you, honey? So by the time I got home and stuff, I was kind of windblown. My hair looked great this morning, but I did need a little bit more sleep, an hour and a half, in order to be functional for tonight. And yeah, so overlooked the appearance. I did the best I could with the time I had. It's more the content, right? And my voice is getting a little bit hoarse again from allergy-related laryngitis. It is what it is, 'tis the season for allergies, and so bear with any hoarseness or scraggly sounding voice that I may have. I feel fine. It's not hurting at all. It never usually does. So I just sound rugged, but that's right. So let's get started with that as other people come in, meander in, come in and out, so forth, and remember that I'm on and what have you. So the fifth dimension, what is it? We always start with that first with any show I do of defining a topic. What is it? How is it like, what are we going to be talking about as a topic? Because not everybody knows that as a foundation. So I try to build a foundation first with every topic so that we can all move forward through it at the same pace of understanding. So the fifth dimension, according to science posted by Swedish physicist Oscar Klein, it's a dimension unseen by humans where the forces of gravity and electromagnetism unite to create a simple but graceful theory of fundamental forces. So, yes, your allergies started too. Yes, I have year-round allergies, so they just ramp up at different times of the year, and this is springtime's one of them. So, how science views the different theories is dependent upon like dimensions of things, in terms of like, can we perceive it in one or two ways of like going up or down and across, or even at angles and so forth, the space that it occupies, and that's really kind of along those terms, and it gets more complex as they go higher in dimension of what is perceivable by us, by our standards. And there's lower dimensional, 1 to 2 dimensional things too, and it said that we reside in the third dimension, and that there are certain key points and aspects to the third dimension. But spiritually speaking, it's viewed that we as a population of beings on this planet, i.e. humans, have collectively created the reality in which we function in, and that through everybody's thoughts, emotions, intentions, and so forth over time, it has made the world around us and what we interact with on a daily basis, what we prioritize and hold important in our individual lives, which obviously varies different from culture to culture, to personal experiences, etc. So it all kind of pulls together, and that is the place that we are aware of. Now, when you go through a process of, yes, they are a good group too, Natalie. They are bad as well. There is a process that can occur spiritually that many people reference as having your awakening, which is becoming aware of more beyond your foundational beliefs that you may have been taught by your family structure, religious foundational beliefs, in addition to taking the blinders off, looking outside of what just society has taught you, and seeing that there is a lot more out there, and not only in knowledge, understanding, comprehension, etc. And that's called your awakening, because you're kind of like waking up to what's outside the matrix, if you will. And many people do kind of draw a parallel between the Matrix films that were out throughout the 90s, early 2000s, and how we are living now. And I'm not saying that computers are running everything and that we are human batteries for them, not at all. It's more the idea behind it that we all are, our collective consciousness has created the reality in which we operate in. And when you have your awakening, it is like how in the movies it was portrayed as being pulled out of the matrix, waking up and seeing it as it actually is, versus how much more exists outside of that which one is taught to see it as. So, hi, Marianne. That is what one's awakening is. So that's kind of more of the side of the fifth dimension that we're going to be discussing tonight. Not so much the scientific view. That is how science views it, though, is that Swedish physicist Oscar Klein said it's a dimension unseen by humans where the forces of gravity and electromagnetism unite to create a simple but graceful theory of the fundamental forces. So thank you, Sandy. And there's Karen, who suggested tonight's topic that got voted on. Excuse me for any throat clearing, again, post-nasal drip junk. So spiritually, which a lot of people are more interested in than the scientific view of it. So to some, it's when you hold your awareness in a balanced state of present time awareness. You respond to outside stimuli quickly. You're mindful. It's called mindful thinking, being aware of that which is happening in the now moment, which is right here, right now, not worrying about what is going to be happening down the road in the future, not being stuck in the past, because no matter how many times you replay past events, it is always going to still remain the same as how it played out, because we can't go back and change it, right? So it is what it is with that. But being in the now moment is being mindful of your thoughts that are occurring at any given time. It's having the awareness of your environment around you, how you are responding to that. So from a third dimensional perspective, humans operate from a rational mind ego of a scarcity mindset, like I can never have enough, and it's the materialistic things that matter, and that drive to have more things, and more stuff means equals success and so forth, which really, you can't take it with you when you die. And he who has the most toys when dies, that doesn't matter how many toys you have in life, because you can't take it with you. And so recognizing, and I think further along you get on your journey and your spiritual path, those things end up having less importance to you. You're good with minimalist things, having the bare minimum you need to get by with, and you're comfortable with that, and the rest is kind of extraneous. I would guess so, and I'm going to say that you're probably going to answer yes, that you are, Karen, as we move through the topic that you chose here. So, fifth dimension, watching on TV and phone. Well, look at that, Tanya. So, the fifth dimension operates from the heart. One awakens to their gifts, their intuition, and their unconditional love. It's an abundance mindset. So rather than that scarcity mindset of I can't ever have enough stuff and I need more things, and that having those things equals success, you move away from that and move towards that I have enough, and I really truly have an abundance of blessings in my life if I stop to think about it, that it could always be worse. And what I have is enough in this now moment. So that is a natural process that ends up happening, I think, as you move along on your journey's path. You're starting to be okay with that now, Mom. I'm looking at material things, not looking at material things as much anymore. Well, that's good. People will remember you for your kindness more than any success you might achieve. And that is very true, that, you do get remembered more by what kind of a person you were than by how many toys you had and keeping up with the Joneses mentality of stuff, and more stuff, or what status did you reach in your life, whether you were upper class, lower class, middle class, all those things, they cease to matter as you move through your path. And once you cross over and are done with this lifetime, no one's going to really pay attention and remember, oh, they were so poor and they had it so hard. That's going to be a very small portion of who someone is or what they're thought of it for. So yeah, it does happen, I think, organically when one has their awakening and moves along. You know what? Being classless in that sense, Karen, is a positive thing, that you don't fit in, you make your own class to be in. And I used to be in that back in the day of when I was in the work world of, making it to middle class was very important to me, and getting out of lower class and being poor and having the things that is required to make it to middle class was like my drive. And looking back at that, I still look back and say, how ridiculous was that? Yeah, how ridiculous. People will remember how they were treated, not how much money, said Tanya. That's absolutely right. And Mary Ann says, oh my God, I've been giving things away rather than keeping. Yes, you do. Like you said, you kind of get rid of that which no longer serves your greater good, including stuff, where you don't need it. And you don't have to hang on to clutter simply for the sake of holding on to it. So let me see. So what happens when one holds themselves in a fifth dimensional awareness? So hoping Chris would make her way in. She might be having internet trouble. I know she was really interested in the show tonight. Every move I donate everything. Yeah, no, and I'm always weeding through things too to give away to people who can use it and so forth. So okay, so what happens when one holds themselves in a fifth dimensional awareness? You can manifest more and with ease. Manifestation in general to create what you want, because many who follow me, you view, they hear me say all the time and explaining that thought, emotion, and intention can create. And that is really what has created society as we know it, is everybody's thoughts, emotions, and intentions pooled together of what everybody as an individual found important and drove them, is what created the world around us that we function in, right? In our understanding of that. So being able to manifest different, more important things becomes easier in the fifth dimensional mindset. Sent a reminder in Messenger. Thank you, Sandy. Like I said, she may be having internet issues. I don't know. And it says the more the years go on, I find out in the rich people culture, they're just very mean people. Yeah, it's a sense of entitlement. A lot of times, the more they have, the more they want. Correct. Makes the moves easier. Yep. Natalie says, I will agree with that to an extent, but some of them are wonderful people who share their wealth to help others. Right. There's always exceptions to every rule, Natalie, of course. And there are those who are very, very generous with their money and are more philanthropists, is what that's called for those who don't know, of those who are very wealthy, but have given, turn around and give a big chunk of it a way to help other people, help society, help cultures or individual groups of people to evolve, help them get through difficult times. And that's always a beautiful thing when that happens. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, no, and so I think that there's been many of them, even, for example, the woman who wrote the Harry Potter books, J.K. Rowling, she made billions off of those books and the movies that followed them, and she's given most of it away, and she only retains that which she really needs to function with, and to maybe take care of her family and stuff down the road after she's gone. But she does not reside in that billionaire place with her thinking or otherwise, because she remembers what it's like to struggle and make ends meet, and as a single mom. And she started out life when she was writing those as a waitress in a small diner, struggling to get by and being the sole supporter for her children. And she went on to do this great thing, but she never forgot where she started at, and to help those who are struggling. So, people like that, yeah, they are coming from an enlightened, beautiful place. Absolutely. So there are those that exist. So how can one move into the fifth dimension while still in physical body? And now this is also something that a lot of people don't understand the concept of, or again, they see the fifth dimension as a separate place to send your consciousness to, what have you, and where higher beings reside in. But it really isn't so much that as a place that your consciousness can reside in, that also holds where those higher beings live in, if that makes sense. Sure, Dollywood to give her community jobs. Absolutely. Got most respect for waitresses. Yeah, no, it's not an easy job, obviously. So how can one stay or move into the fifth dimension while still in their physical forms, because that's not an easy thing to do and to separate or to understand that, which we're going to delve into. And hopefully after tonight, everyone who's listening and watching will have a greater understanding of how that process plays out. Natalie says, Aaron, my grandparents were such. My grandfather lost his photography store because he kept giving his equipment to starving photographers. They gave much to the poor. My grandparents felt blessed and wanted to share the wealth. That's amazing. Hi, Renee. No, you can't listen to others, and one has to, again, follow their own path. So how to move into the fifth dimension while still in physical form. And, when I first encountered this idea, I was kind of confused too, because again, I really was viewing it like the fifth dimension is a separate place of reality in a separate dimension, like we reside in a third dimension. So that was a separate place to go to, but it really isn't. So you can get there while still in physical form. And I was kind of like, how does that play out? But I understand it better now through both the research, discussion with others, and my information always comes from a variety of sources, but I get it now what it's talking about, and hopefully I can pass that understanding on to everybody else. So one stays aware in every now moment and are mindfully aware. You go with the flow rather than fighting against it and are unconditionally loving. Now let's think about that. Even, to someone who we don't agree with, who has a different set of beliefs, who does things that we might deem negative in nature or dangerous or harmful to others, you still have unconditional love for them. Not an easy thing to do, to not judge others and to operate from that place of unconditional love for somebody of no matter what you do, I love you as a fellow human being. And you're able to separate one's behaviors from the person themselves, which is kind of parenting skill 101, but not everybody's a parent to have experienced that. But it is really that no matter what you do, where you go, and how you move forward, I will have unconditional love for someone else. Being mindfully aware of your thought process. Am I having negative thoughts about others or about a situation? Am I sitting around having bitch fests all the time within my head over every little thing and being grumbly and negative about everything? Or am I viewing it from a now moment where you get completely gobsmacked by something, to be blown away by it, and to be, with childlike wonder and love and amazement with even the smallest things, as noticing or stopping to listen to the different birds that are singing into each other and talking to each other, and trying to recognize which different ones might be present that you can identify, or the feeling of the sun on your face when it's nice out, or just what a beautiful day it is. Stopping in that moment to be in that now moment, not worrying about what you got going on, what comes next, where you're heading off to in a rush, or stuck in your past experiences. So, and bear with me, it's a nasty throat drop. I'm out of my good ones over here. I got more in the other room, but I thought I have more. So, staying aware in the mindful now moments. Go with the flow rather than fighting against the current, because that, we are taught in many societies that the harder you work, the further you're going to get in life. Well, spiritually, that's not true. When you fight against the flow and the current of the energy, it makes it harder, and it makes it an uphill climb that it doesn't have to be. It complicates it. It clouds your thinking. It clouds your viewpoint. And so rather than just going with it and allowing and trusting and having faith and belief in it, you fight against it, and it makes it much harder of a process. One has to realize that you are in control of your emotions, all of them, every single one of them, as well as each of your thoughts. Every single person who's out there listening, watching, whatever, you have control over, we always say oh, they made me so mad, or oh, they pissed me off so bad, or God, they got me so upset, or they pushed my buttons. It's understanding you allowed somebody to push your buttons. You allowed someone to get you mad. You allowed someone to get you to a point where you are choosing to release control of that emotion for it to come through. It simply takes practice to learn how to have that control, to recognize when someone is trying to push your buttons, make you mad, make you sad, make you upset in any way. Just step back from it and recognize that's what they're doing, and to choose not to allow it. Absolutely, Sandy. Only you can control what you say, think, or do. And a lot of people struggle with that idea that, no, I can't control that. No, you can't. You're choosing not to. You think you can't. And that's part of it, is you shift your thinking to understand and take that control. You can't control if someone else is choosing to try to push your buttons or make you cry or try to hurt you and upset you or get on your last nerve. You can't control them doing it, but you can choose your response to it. And you do control that through free will, and simply making it be an intention to recognize that when you're losing that control and that grip, to take it back and say, I'm not playing this game with you, or I'm not letting you get me going. I'm not going to allow you to upset me. Stepping back from this and walking away or taking a break or whatever is necessary to help you calm down and get that control back again before it gets to the escalated out of control level. Because once it reaches there, yeah, you can't rein it in as easily. Of course not. But, you can stop it before it gets to that point, to walk away, step back from it, take a break, whatever, to get and keep your control on your own emotions. They're yours. They're not anybody else's. Nobody else has control of your emotions but you. You're the one in your head. You're the one in your heart, not anyone else. Let's see. Yes, absolutely. And some people enjoy pushing your buttons and get off on it, but it's up to you to choose whether you would let them push your buttons. Tanya says, I have said many times, nope, not going to fight with you, so you may as well stop. Absolutely. Yep, narcissists are good at that. You found us all, Mary. Absolutely. Welcome. Natalie says, I often call people out. Do you feel better now that you said that mean thing to me? Yes, holding people accountable. Absolutely. And to recognize that, again, you can choose to give someone to have that control of you. You can give your control away. I've had people say to me before, because I used to have an anger management issue. It was mine, not controlling my own temper and allowing people to get me to the point where I released that control, or I didn't try to even have that control. And over time, I learned, hey, I do have that control, and taking that control for myself. And someone to be like, I don't know how you shut down your anger so quickly. I choose not to be in that place. I choose not to be out of control with my temper, because I don't like who I am in that place of when I lose that control. So I pull it back, I shut it down. It's a choice. I usually ask them to repeat what they said. I didn't hear them. And they never repeat it. Well, yeah, sure, because they recognize what they're doing. My guides picked a good subject. Well done, motherfuckers. Like my roommate, oh my God, she wanted to argue with me about stuff. But it's up to you, Mary, to choose whether to let her argue with you or not, or choose to participate with her with arguing. Sometimes some people get in the mood and they do like to push buttons or try to push your buttons, but it's up to the individual to choose whether you let them push your buttons or not. And to, again, understand you have that control, not anyone else. It's really that simple. This idea was I first learned it as a teenager of, not letting people get under your skin and having that control. And trying it next time that you're in that kind of a situation, to start to laugh at the person, to start to laugh at them. And I happened to be in a very abusive relationship at the time with a guy, and I held my breath, not sure how that was going to go over, but I tried it. And, I call it changing the dance steps, that then somebody doesn't, when you're not responding the same way you always do, that somebody doesn't know what to do with that. So they're kind of like, they go to push your buttons and you choose not to respond back the same way you always have. It causes confusion and doubt, and they second guess themselves on how to proceed. So the next time he started with me, I started laughing, and it was a very forced laugh initially, and I felt very fake doing it, but I didn't give up. I kept doing it. And lo and behold, he didn't know what to do with it. And he ended up getting all huffy puffy and storming off and leaving me alone. Okay, so maybe there's something to this. Let's try this again next time, see what happens. And the same response. He didn't know what to do with it. So over time, that laugh became more genuine as I saw that, it worked. Hang on. I don't want to get gross, but I'm going to spit out this because it's way too strong. It's that Ricola drops that are like, has a menthol in the middle that is liquid. I don't need menthol, but I have now my Ludens that are much happier throat drops, but they're in the other room. So that was what I had in my drawer, and they're like, I forgot how nasty they can get. Thank you for liking and sharing. I appreciate that. Had bullies attempt to bully me, sure. And again, it's over time, I got to see that, hey, this trick works. And I can use it to de-escalate a situation, to change the outcome of it, but also in learning that I had that control over my own reaction. They didn't. I could choose to respond the same way I always had, or step back from it and say, wait a second, let's try something different here. But not letting myself lose that control of myself. No, I don't like menthol. It's just nasty, and that was what they had at the time in the store, so that's what I got for my laryngitis. It's kind of starting up again, and I looked at it was right before we came on there, and I was like, oh crap, there's not time to get up and get more. But peppermint I like, and spearmint I love, but just not just regular straight menthol. Yes, it's just not best to engage with them. They're just miserable people who want everyone around them to be miserable too. There are those that want people to get, they're unhappy and they want to make you be just as unhappy as they are. Hi, beautiful Kim. And so they will do their best to get you to lower your vibration to the same place they are. But it's a choice. You control it, no one else does. So really internalizing it and remembering it in the moment when it counts the most, to use these techniques when it counts the most, when you are in the thick of something with somebody who's trying to start with you and pick a fight or get under your skin or push your last button and ride your last nerve, to step back and say, nope, you know what? No, I'm not going to go there. Not doing it. I'm done. Walk away. You know what? I'll talk to you later. How hard is that? It's the new tool. I will talk to you later. I'm sorry. I'm choosing not to fight with you right now. I love you. I care about you, but I will talk to you later when things have calmed down. And I used to use that as a caseworker too. And sometimes I had to talk about difficult things with my clients that they would get mad and angry at me. And when they got to that place, they couldn't hear me anymore. And they just were residing in their own place of, I don't want to be made to change. And okay, you know what? Here's my card. I will check in with you later this week, and we'll set up another appointment for next time. And have a wonderful day. I will see you next time. And I would leave and I would end it because I will not engage in that. And that was my choice to not stay and fight with somebody. It doesn't serve a purpose. If you take that stuff, smash it open and add peppermint, a few other things, you can make a great scrub for hand and foot. Yep, you can. So my grandma was, she wanted everyone to be so miserable, but it's up to you to choose whether to allow her to make you miserable. Exactly. You're going to paint. Go do something to raise your vibration up rather than lower it down to their level. And anything that's happened through past patterns in your life, past memories of someone where you didn't understand you had that control over your emotions and you allowed somebody to hurt you, you can't go back and change those things. They're already done, but they're part of your collective experience as a human being now. And so it's no longer serving your greater good to hold on to them. So why are you? Why do you choose to still let them hurt you in the memories of it when it's already done deal? So release it. It doesn't serve your greater good anymore. So staying aware of the now moment and mindfully aware, go with the flow rather than fighting against it with and are having unconditional love. One has to realize you are in control of your emotions, all of them, as well as each of the thoughts that you have in your head. You think, if you have a negative thought about yourself, stop yourself, recognize it, replace it with something more positive, move on. If you make a mistake, you know what? So what? Okay, I made a mistake. I'll try to remember not to do that again, or I'll learn something from it to not repeat it. And moving on. Don't beat yourself up. Don't belittle yourself. Don't carry guilt and shame over it. Acknowledge, release, and move on. That's all there is to it. Go to my glass shop and not going to fight exactly. Learn just to walk away from the situation without saying a word a long time ago. Good for you. And yeah, it is a choice. One has to make or not. You can choose to stay into that or you don't. It's an individual choice one makes. So recognizing you are in control of your emotions, all of them, and as well as each and every single one of your thoughts. And they know via the law of attraction, you will be given what you need. So you have to recognize and trust that the universe is going to put you exactly where you're supposed to be, give you exactly what you need to have to get by with, and trusting in that. There have been lots of times, or in my life where I've worried and I've panicked over certain situations that have occurred where things got kind of desperate and they were on that edge. And I had to step back to acknowledge and recognize that, don't freak out, don't panic. The universe will give you what you need. And my basic needs would always be met. I may not have an abundance of things in my life as far as, more than what I need, but my barest minimum will be met. So Spiderweb's Mary, Tanya does stained glass pieces, and she recently posted a picture of a piece she did of a stained glass spider web that she made, which was very, very cool. My sister's quite talented. She's actually the one that made the stained glass feathers and the tree of life in my background. Love, love, love them. So one can become a fifth dimensional master now by setting your intention to become one. To understand that it's within your choice as a goal that you can accomplish, residing in that way of thinking for yourself in order to go forward and, be in that place with your thinking and how you carry yourself all the time. And when you master it, then you are a fifth dimensional master, essentially. So signs that you're starting to live in the fifth dimension. Number one, you can tell something has changed, but you can't quite put your finger on it. You're feeling toward your outer reality feels totally different. So how you feel towards your outer reality has changed and things look clearer to you, I guess would be the way to explain it. When you start to have your awakening, it's almost like you're taking the sunglasses off inside. You're like gaining a clearer view of everything around you and how things work and what makes sense, what doesn't. Confusion can fall away, and something has changed. May not be sure what has changed, but something has, and it really is within yourself that something has changed. Number 2, you get the feeling that you have no choice anymore. Most third dimensional consciousness contains right or wrong, quote unquote, decisions. We come into alignment with higher wisdom by getting into the 5th dimension. We stop questioning everything, ourselves and the universe, and start to resonate with our own destiny. Right, Karen. I said that to somebody last week, how I don't think I've ever not been in the 5th dimension in that way. It's not a second pair of eyes, Aaron, as much as you're seeing the world through a new set of eyes. Yeah, I do have a wind chime that Tanya made me too. It's hanging in my kitchen. So again, you stop questioning everything it's not that you stop asking questions to learn, but it's questioning in terms of of understanding that these things have kind of been mapped out in your life already, and you have but to discover them on your own, but they've been there all this time. And yeah, I've suggested that she work with me to make an album of her work to put in Willows, Ben, for people, but that hasn't happened yet, but the offer's still there. Whenever, lovey. So certain things we're meant to experience here in our incarnation, in this lifetime that we're having. And as our egotistic attachments fall aside and are replaced by faith and surrender, not surrender is in terms of I give up, but a surrender to understand that, again, the universe, the greater good, the higher knowing is gonna, again, make sure your basic needs are met and that you have exactly where you need to be at that moment. I don't question, I just know exactly. I have some former bully friend, me on Facebook. She told me I was the only one she respected. You know what? A lot of them do come back later and say that, because a lot of people who deal with a bully, they will reside in that place with them, grateful that they're not the one being bullied. So they'll go along with bullying somebody else, happy it's not them, which isn't the right way to approach it, obviously. It should always be from a zero tolerance standpoint at all times, I think. Sorry. Making note up there. When I turned 57, says Marianne, I felt different, like giving away things, drawing more, do something. Right. And, you're never too old to have your awakening and to have that knowing and understanding that there is more, can be more. And I mean, I know women or people who are in their 70s who are just now really fully coming into their own. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And those people truly, to me anyway, they come across as timeless, and dealing with them, I don't ever notice an age difference between us at all. It's just, I see them as an individual, as a person coming from a heart place, but I don't ever see them as like, oh, they're an old person or they're elderly. It's because they don't reside in that place. So I think it's awesome when somebody is in that place. Can you get up? Okay, you're stuck, aren't you, baby? Honey, your legs are stuck, Jake. Bad position, baby. Oh, careful, honey. Hang on, guys. Jake, let me help you, Jake. Jake, I'm coming. Here. All right, I'm coming. Get your legs under you, okay? You all right? Holy cow, dude. You all right? All right, you just couldn't get your footing on the hardwood floor. Goodness, babes. Sorry, guys. Yeah. somehow got in a position with his back legs spread apart separately to where when he went to stand, he couldn't get him up under him correctly because they were kind of splayed under him. And I don't think he realized that was the position he was in. So when he went to get down, he kind of fell, but then he couldn't get his footing on the hardwood floor to get him up underneath him. You all right, boo? Jaker. Hang on, guys. For those who are new to listening or watching me, my dog is like 15. He's a Dalmatian, but he's old, and if he stays in one position too long, just like us, we don't always know the legs falling asleep or whatever. You okay, babies? Not you, Kit Kat. Jake. You all right? Scooby-Doo, you okay? You're getting caught on the cat's mouse there, son. You all right? Don't get tangled up in the string. Yeah, you're okay. Walk it out. There you go. He's okay. He's all right. He just he couldn't get his feet to get him up off the floor when he landed because his legs were still kind of splayed. So it was hurting his hips trying to struggle to get him up under him on the, he kept sliding on the floor. But he's okay. Okay. Yes, you're all right. You just didn't land with your feet under you, that's all. Huh? You're all right. Mama helped. We got you. Okay. You good? I think so. Okay. All right. So moving on to the next one. So certain things in our lifetime we're meant to experience in this incarnation now, including some of the traumas we go through. We're meant to experience them because there's learning that can happen with them. And no, because the throw rug would just go sliding. And, these floors here, they don't have the is it polyurethane I'm thinking of? That you put over top of hardwood floors to help protect them and stuff. So they're just like straight hardwood floors here. But I don't own this place. So my landlord is not one to keep up with that stuff or fix it. Let me see. Let me get that. Move your foot. Yeah, don't stand on it. That's too late. Now you're on it. Well, don't make it everywhere, okay? Check this. You all right? Yeah, you're okay, huh? Yes, I know. That was scary, but you're okay now. You're okay now. Just gotta watch what position you lay in and fall asleep in. I would have been hard pressed to get out of that position if it had been me. Huh. Yeah, I would still have to get his permission because he's that kind of a landlord that anything you're going to do to change the place has to have his strict permission first. He's just one of those, even though he's never around. I live with a stroke victim father who would call me many times daily. It was the stroke, not him. Nothing bothers me. Yeah, it's one of those things that we choose whether something bothers us or not. You're good? Yes, you're all right. So you want to get back up? Get back up? Puppy? Just be careful how you're laying this time. I think he must have probably shifted where his legs were under him and he relaxed and they kind of splayed out to the sides with his hips. So when he went to stand, he couldn't get him up under him. All right. So as our egotistical attachments fall aside and they get replaced by, again, having faith and surrender that you're going to have what you need given to you in any given time and space. You trust that the universe has your back no matter what. And depending on your foundation of beliefs, whether you call that the universe God or you call it the Christ consciousness, whether you call it the one unity consciousness, source energy, the universe, it doesn't matter. It's all the same energetic force behind things that kind of is behind the creation of things. So whatever your belief system resides in, it doesn't matter what the name is, it's the energy that's there that matters. So oh, that's awesome, Karen. I'm just saying, but again, how somebody else is one thing that we can't control, but we can control our reaction to it. So number 3, the reasons you have for why things happen are more spiritual in nature. How you view the things that happen to you and around you, involving you, you look at it from a more spiritual place in how you view it. And so instead of looking at it as, oh, I got terrible luck or whatever, you look at it and see it more accurately for what it is. Yes, I picked it up. They're all cleaned up, son. Okay. No, it's not. Oh, I didn't see that back there. Okay, hang on. Sorry, guys. I made a mess in my bed when he got up and I didn't realize it. Mama cleaned it up. We'll get it. Don't worry. Change the bed when we get done with the show here. Yeah, she's all right. It's getting to be where I have more time this part of the week. I could get some laundromat, and it's nice out, so not too cold. Don't have to freeze. Don't have to jump over ice and stuff to get into my truck. Although my walker is out of commission, which is kind of sucky, but all right. I'll clean it all up for you, bug, okay? All gone. Okay. So let me get my hand sanitizer here real quick. So the reasons you have for why things happen to you are much more spiritual in nature. Ooh, that stings. Sorry. I thought I had a piece of stitch coming out of my suture line there that was trapped under the skin, and so I was poking at it earlier with a needle, and hand sanitizer just got in it. Okay, so whilst at lower frequencies, people still are caught up in the victimization mode, the blame mode, the I have good or bad luck mode, the poor me, the pity parties, the excuse making of why they can't change and why they're stuck there, and oh, poor me, I can't do this, I can't do that, and this is why I can't change, and they come up with a cajillion reasons why they can't. It's not about that as much as they are not ready to make changes yet. And with those people, we can't impact that. We can't. We can try to plant a seed, but if they're not ready to let it grow, it won't change. And what you choose to hold on to, you guys are all talking about negative experiences from your past. But what is the point in discussing them now when they're not serving your greater good to hold on to them? So when in those moments when they're coming up, acknowledge it, but then release them. Choose now to let them go and to have them stop impacting you. Just saying, like that would, a lot of one spiritual path does bring up a lot of our past bad memories, but you pick it up. Oh, okay, I see what you are, and you release it and let it go. You pick it up and notice it, pay attention to it, acknowledge the emotions around it, but let it go. You don't hold on to it. You don't relive the emotions surrounding it. You don't allow yourself to start escalating, going back into the emotions surrounding the memory. You just choose to release it and let it go because it's not serving you. Whatever lessons it was meant to give you, it already gave it to you. So at that point, why carry the baggage of it around with you anymore? And either you can choose to let it go and release it or not. But if you don't, you're not going to make it into the 5D consciousness because there is no room for that baggage in that dimensional thinking. They don't impact me. Grandma calling me the N-word was hilarious. Like, what? Yeah, I feel people cling to the idea of bad luck, cling to the bad luck and manifest it. I often think they cling because it's familiar. They don't know what to do with good luck. The same can be said for some illnesses. No, it is true. And I used to, when I was a caseworker and in the field with families, you get those people who perpetuate the multi-generational patterns of behaviors, that the shit runs downhill patterns, the of dysfunction and the way of viewing things and the victim mentality and so forth. And don't they're more comfortable with the pain that that baggage brings them because it's known and they know what to expect from it, than the unknown of the idea of being happy. Even though they've had times of feeling happiness in their life, they don't recognize that what they felt was happiness and that, hey, that was good and I want more of it. So let's do what I have to do to get there. So instead, they stay in that place of, I'm full of this trauma, but you know what? I'm not ready to let it go because it's what I know. And those people, you can't impact them. You can't make them understand releasing it is for their greater good. It's a choice one has to make as an individual or not. And if they're not ready to, moving on, you can't do anything more than handing them a toolbox of tools to help themselves. If they choose not to pick it up, that's on them. Then you move on to the next person because you're not going to make an impact because they're not ready to have change happen. And they may also have a completely different soul plan, soul contract in effect that you're not aware of, why they're choosing to do the things they're doing or staying in that place. That may be their intention to be there in this lifetime, and that's on them and they're knowing. So when you're not making an impact, you have to move on. Change the generation of history. Absolutely. And for me, those changes, that recognition that all that stuff, that baggage was not serving my greater good. It came about in wanting to be a better mother when I had my daughter, that I didn't want to pass all that on to her. So, hey, I best get a handle on this stuff now before we encounter it in raising you, so that it doesn't run down to you and it's dealt with before we get there. And that was the catalyst for me to make those changes. But whatever reason you're going to do it, it's like no time like the present. And there has never been a time I've ever regretted doing it. And I can look back and honestly say, I stopped all those multi-generational cycles with me, and they didn't go down to her. I always try to think positive thoughts lead to positive outcomes. Right. That's the law of attraction, Tanya. Absolutely. I look at myself as a positive realist. Right. So if something doesn't deserve a pretty bow, I don't give it one. I look at everything realistically. If something is a beautiful thing and, deserves a big hug or a pat on the back or a high five, I'll give it. But if it doesn't, I'm going to call it like I see it and speak my truth about it. And I'm not going to put a pretty bow on it just because it makes it look better, but it doesn't change what it is. So I do see it realistically, and that's how I operate, but everybody's different. And yes, the law of attraction is a thing where what you put out comes back to you. And now that said, it doesn't mean that everything in your path is going to be happy-go-lucky positive, because there are challenges that you've created on the other side before incarnating into this life to experience because of the lessons you stood to gain from them. But it doesn't mean that that's a constant state for your whole lifetime. Once you get that lesson, you're meant to move past it and leave it in the past. You pick it up, you acknowledge that which you didn't deal with in the moment when it was occurring, acknowledge the emotions surrounding it, allow yourself a minute to feel it, and then let it go. Yes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, absolutely. So certain things that we're meant to experience in our incarnational thing. Yes, I do, Tanya. I just let one. We're meant to experience in this incarnation now. And again, we let go of those attachments, and it feels like life is moving us on our exact right path more effortlessly. I do. But it feels like, it's kind of like you guys have heard me say before that moment of clarity I had of recognizing in that moment, I could say I actually genuinely and truly was content with where I was, what I had, and where I was on my path, what I was doing with my time, that I felt like this is exactly where I'm supposed to be and doing exactly what I'm meant to be doing in this moment. And I can genuinely say, I am content and happy with where I am. And that kind of gobsmacked moment of, I think that's the first time I can actually say that in my life. And just that, wow, holy cow, I think it is. And that realization that, in that I am good where I'm at right now, and that acknowledging the blessings you have. So, number 3, the reasons you have for why things happen are more spiritual in nature. So whilst at lower frequencies, people are still caught in the victimization, blame, good and bad luck as reasons why things in their life happen. Those residing more in a 5D reality realize that nothing happens by accident or by chance. I'd rather be alone in the world and deal with drama. Absolutely. Well, it's not about earning the bow, Aaron. It's that if it doesn't deserve a bow, as far as like if it's something that's bad or ugly, I'll say it sucks in a moment, but I don't focus on it sucking. I move on. And if it's a beautiful thing, you will hear me singing its praises and how wondrous something is in my excitement for it. So it's more like that. So I don't give it if it doesn't need it. Hi, Nabina. So those who reside in a 5D reality realize that nothing happens by accident or by chance. It is all a structured thing, and it's supposed to happen. So once that kind of puts a different perspective on it, and understanding, you hear me talking about soul contracts of designing the life you're going to have, that you're going to be born into. And it is true. We do make those on the other side before coming back through. And so what we're experiencing in our lifetime now are things and challenges and lessons we need to grow from as a soul being through the physical aspect of experiencing them. And what do you learn better from by experiencing it, or someone just telling you? You learn better through experiencing it. Those lessons are going to stick with you, and you're going to hang on to them. So that's better than just being, when you're told something, it's like in one ear and out the other. It satisfies your curiosity in the moment, but you don't hold on to it. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't have meaning as far as discovering it for yourself. I figured I must have had a cushy past life, and now it's catching up on me. That's only one way to look at it, but karma isn't really about that. I still have beef with Adolf. In terms of what, Karen? Everything is new. It's on a network now that gets broadcast around the world. So, question, can we change our soul contract in our lifetime? Some people think you can, but I don't think you can. I think that if you originally designed it to happen, there's a reason for it, of why you designed it to be that way. And that when on the other side, when you're reconnected to your soul self, and you have all that knowing that comes with that connection, then you have, more foresight, more information to go on what and why you designed this lifetime to be what it is. So if you are experiencing it now, it's with that knowing. And even if we don't fully understand why things are happening now, that you don't change it, because we don't have all that knowing now. No matter how evolved we get in our lifetime, you're not going to have the same knowing to the extent and expansiveness as you have as a soul being on the other side. So some people say, oh yes, you can, or you can deconstruct it, but no, I don't think one should, because you don't have all the information now in doing so. And you could actually end up cutting off your nose to spite your face, so to speak, shooting yourself in the foot, that you don't have all the knowledge to operate on to make that decision. So you go ahead and change it and come up with a different plan, but it could undo what was meant to happen in this lifetime, and hence be changing the outcome to where you got to do it again in the next lifetime because you didn't fulfill it this time around. I feel if it comes from a place of gratitude, one will begin to experience all kinds of good new things. They absolutely do. He accepted the mission. I can't get past that. But the world needed to change. And all those who are the victims of his actions chose and agreed to be that for him in order to help shift the world, because it needed to shift and it needed to happen. And if you stop and look at humans and what we respond to, it has to be big to get our attention in order to step back and say, oh, okay, yeah, that's not working. This is a problem. And so everybody who died at his hands agreed to play that for him. They had their own lessons that they took from that experience, but they also agreed to be that on the other side and before coming into this life. So even if whilst in this life they didn't recognize they did agree to do so, they still did. And so it puts a different spin on it, right? When they're volunteering to, yeah, I'll help you, I'll be this now because it needs to happen. But what would have been the plan B that would have been acceptable to shift the entire world? It has to be something huge before that would happen. Isn't that like a violation of your contract that you made? Yeah, it is, Aaron, in that, again, you don't have all the information here in our current headspace that, that we have on the other side. We have all that knowledge of why we made each lesson that we need to learn or experience we needed to have on the other side, but we don't have that same knowing now. So if you go messing with your soul contract in this consciousness here and now, you could unknowingly undo something that you're supposed to experience in order to grow from it. And so you hence have to repeat it again the next time around so that you can get it out of the way because you failed to do it this time. With the positive attitude, I believe the soul contract can be changed because one can influence those around us to teach us others. But who's to say, though, Natalie, that having that positive attitude is exactly how it's supposed to be in the here and now? And that being an influencer is exactly who and what someone is meant to be. And teaching others is exactly as it's meant to be in this lifetime. So in that case, changing it would take you out of that place of having it be what it's supposed to be. Hey, Miss Lonnie, I got my beef, so I'll hash it out when I go back there, probably. But that's just it, is that in the here and now, certain things we're just incapable of wrapping our heads around appropriately to see it from the right perspective because we don't have all the information. On the other side, we're the only ones that see time in a straight line from the past, the present, the future going forward. On the other side, it is very fluid and they can see past, present, and future with equal ease, go backward, forward, up and down, whatever they want. And so they're able to see those things on the other side in designing a soul contract and designing what's going to happen in the here and now, that we don't have that knowledge because most people can't understand that time is fluid mentality. And in thinking like that, I've noticed as I've gotten more evolved, time has become more fluid in my life. I have a harder time keeping track of the days of the week and the dates. I have to look at the calendar 10,000 times a day to remind me what day of the week we're in or what the date is or what's coming up on the date. Or I'll think we're in a different part of the month than what we are at times. And is because time is becoming more fluid naturally, organically through my own process of evolving. And so with that, like, I think it can naturally occur to get to that place. But yeah, it takes time and expansion that you have to be like, for me, with any expansion I get, I go with it. I roll with it. Who do you think decides what our contract will be? Us. Each individual designs your own soul contract, Sandy. Your guides may help you design it, but ultimately each person designs their soul contract based on their unique individual need of what they have to have and learn to gain in each lifetime experience. So your guides may have an input as far as, well, like maybe reminding you of something you're forgetting or whatever, but overall the individual designs it because each person is only responsible for yourself. So hence we would be the ones designing that contract. And we covered a lot of what goes into that in the Teachings of Michael shows, to where all the different aspects that are chosen from in creating your personality and creating the experiences you're going to have, and planning how you're going to view life through which lens. You know, you're going to be a teacher, are you going to be a sage, are you going to be a wise person, are you going to be a hands-off service individual, are you going to be an artist, are you know, like what are you going to be? All that gets decided. I was taken to task by someone because I couldn't remember the days of the week. I kind of felt bad for that person because they are so locked into that linear boundary. Absolutely. And that happens to me all the time. And I used to kind of blow it off as, you know, I have mild traumatic brain injury, but I think it's more than that, that it also goes along with my own evolution spiritually, that I've gotten there through just the going with the flow mentality of just accepting what gets put on my path, rolling with it instead of fighting against it, and gain comprehension of each thing as soon as it comes on board, to integrate it into my life and then move on. So yes, I think that it can become more flexible in our lifetime view of things based on where we stand in our own lives. You know, I don't find that I'm as much of a clock watcher as I used to be. You know, back when I worked and stuff, oh yeah, I watched the clock and kept track of every little thing, and it all had to be, you know, monitored out. And I don't do that as much anymore. But there are those that do, and some have to because of their jobs and whatever. But it is, you know, I think it can loosen up from where you start at as you go along. Excuse me. So those residing more in a 5D reality realize that nothing happens by accident or by chance. All situations are here to help us heal something, show us our path, and that things have a deeper nature to them. Number 4, overall, people seem nicer wherever you go. People who surround us are a reflection of where we are on our path. If you have gotten, you know, had your awakening, you are more accepting of others in that unconditional love place of not judging others, of recognizing that, hey, you're here for a purpose and you can't influence what everyone else is doing. You're on the right track, in other words, that dramas, stress, dysfunction, all that stuff, and the people that cause it tend to fall back out of your life. And you get surrounded, you can tell what kind of a person you are by who you're surrounded by. Think about that. And, you know, like most of the people who I call family or inner circle people are those, yes, I have the ability to where I've seen our past lives together, to know there's a soul connection there with somebody and what that is. However, there are those who found me for their own journey's path, to be their teacher, or because of what I can teach them, that they resonate with what I put out there, and they want to be a part of that for whatever reason drives somebody to connect. It happens, and those more and more end up being who surrounds you. And those relationships that are negative and toxic and drama causing and so forth, they end up becoming fewer and fewer around you, and your tolerance for those types of people lessens as well, to where you're more willing to either get someone completely out of your life who's like that, or cut the cord with them, or hold them at arm's length away from you as far as possible, in order to walk your path and not have them interfere with yours. So it is a thing, right? I've often said that there was a time where we adults hadn't really adjusted to the internet yet, and that, now we're just as bad as what our kids used to be. So we allow what we're willing to tolerate, but we have that choice. So again, if you find that people are surrounding you who are just negative, and you seem to be drawing them to you, where you're in a constant state of chaos and drama, you know what? It's time to step back and look at you close up, and to see how you view things, how you are conducting yourself, because you are pulling that energy to you through the law of attraction. What you put out is going to come back to you and will surround you. And in surrounding you, again, you can tell what kind of person you are and where you are in your life. My guides brought me here. We are in the same weirdo zone. We are, Karen. Is the fifth dimension the final? No. Some people view it as being the same as what Christians call heaven or the afterlife, but I don't view it that way at all. Weird people are the only ones who have any real fun. Exactly. Like draws like. Exactly, Tanya. Yep. And so you can use that as a guide to tell what kind of a person you're going to be dealing with, is what surrounds them. Do they live in a constant state of drama and operate from that place? Or are they doing their own thing regardless? Who cares what they think about, someone else thinks about them? They're being positive, they're promoting positivity, but they're marching to their own drum against what society tells them they have to be. And they are striving to do better, be better, become more, be more. That's what you're going to find surrounding you, is more of those kinds of people. Mama, what? What? And rather than whining at me from the floor, why don't you jump up and I can pet you? Come on. Well, come on up, silly. Mm-hmm. So, number 5, life has been more relentless with your, quote, healing process. No, I don't have any tolerance for the drama either. Or for those I recognize that I can't help. I don't do pity. I won't pity party people. I will not do the hand-holding thing where I see it's not helping them and that they're really not ready to change. I will step back and pull back. Now, it doesn't mean I pull back from them necessarily as a person. It just means that I'm going to keep you at arm's length because you're not ready to make any changes yet. You're full of excuses as to why you can't, or feeling like you can't, and you're not ready yet, and I can't make you be ready. So I always say, if it's not weird, I want it. There's zero tolerance for drama, right? And so that is a reflection of where you are in your life. Mama. So one of the hardest parts of the ascension process is out with the old and in with the new. What, chatty catty? What? What are you talking about? Why don't you plant it next to Mama and I can pet you while I talk? Ah, see? Silly. So the universe needs us to be as empty as possible in order to enter the 5D consciousness. Yes, it's a little girl. And it does this by giving us the chances to heal and to let go of all the past pent-up emotions the blocks and the belief systems by way of one devastating experience after another. And so, like, for example, the dealing with one devastating experience after another, it's going to bring up other things you associate to those things in order to have you be able to release them, in order to move past them. And that some of the life lessons that we have in our soul contract are meant to be just that. They are there to help us let go of that which is not serving our greater good anymore. That's all it is, poop. It is. So does that make sense about, like, those experiences are there in order to help you release the baggage that you're carrying? Because there isn't any room for it in order to move up to 5D. Hey, beautiful Aaron. Maybe he's born with it. Maybe it's Maybelline. So this stage will come to an end, and we are healers of our own hearts. And as soon as a beautiful emptiness can start emerging as our natural state, rather than chaotic waves of emotions, healing processes to happen, we have to go through it to release it, to reach the 5D reality. So in other words, we have to be able to take it, pick it up, acknowledge it, allow yourself to feel those emotions you may have stowed at the time and didn't deal with, and then let it go. But we're going to have things come up that can, like, trigger you or remind you of other experiences you may have had that bring up, like, you guys were all talking about negative past experiences. Well, that reminded you of those experiences, right? And it's happening for a reason, so that you can release those because they don't serve you anymore, right? So the 5D, the fifth dimension, according to some, isn't a dimension or an immediate change in our outer world. It's more of a state of being. It's a level of consciousness, and it's about holding your awareness in a balanced state of present time awareness, now moments. You hear a lot of enlightened people talking about those now moments, that it really is about that, of being present in the now, not worrying about what's coming, because whatever that's going to be is going to be. And because of decisions we make now are going to change the outcome of what's coming in our path. Or sometimes it's things that are beyond our control, that sitting and worrying about it and giving it your energy is a waste of time. It's going to be what it's going to be. So, and what's already happened is, well, it's what's already happened. You can't go back and change it. So staying in the here and now is part of being in that now moment, which is the fifth dimensional consciousness. So when operating from a fifth dimensional perspective, one operates from the heart, awakened to our spiritual gifts and intuitions, again, unconditional love, and an abundance mindset. So what happens in the fifth dimension? When I was 11, my dad had a stroke. That taught me a lot. Yeah, and a lot of kids had to, grow up sooner than some of our counterparts did, through family experiences and the need to step up to the plate, what have you, or see things from a different perspective and be more responsible in the moment and so forth. So, yep, my mom always had health issues too I had to deal with, and be your caregiver at actually the same age as you were. See, told you, Aaron. So when you hold yourself there more in that now moment, one can manifest more things with greater speed and ease. you reside in the now moments, and joy and gratitude and abundance become your usual state of being, to be present in the now. So we're more meant to experience these things than we are to experience depression, negativity, and that I can't mentality. I can't do this. I can't do that. And oh, this is happening. So I'm not able to do this anymore. No, don't focus on that stuff. Focus instead on what you can still do and what you are still capable of, and reside in that place in the now moment, rather than walking around continuously grieving that which you perhaps had to give up doing in your past, or who you used to be, because who you are now is who you are meant to be now. I don't want to say it out loud, Aaron. Chirp, chirp. Yes, Kira. So currently, the fifth dimension is the goal for humanity to ascend or get to. We can do it while still inhabiting our physical forms. Exactly, Gina. States of sadness, depression, and lows leave your awareness overall in a more negative place. But like, you have less of those moments of the sadness, depression, and the lows in your life when you raise your consciousness to the fifth dimensional space. So it's said that you can even become a fifth dimensional master by awakening all your gifts and controlling every thought and emotion that you have. And yes, it takes practice, but again, practice makes perfect. What you doing, Kit Kats? Huh? All right. So they also trust in their manifesting abilities and the law of attraction to bring you what you need and when you need it. Yes, dear. What you doing? You giving your 2 cents on the topic? Huh? What say you? Man. So what are the symptoms of spiritual ascension? Now, these can be even looked at as ascension sickness, is what its nickname is. Went over your head. I guess I was trying to say earlier is through our choices, we change our soul contract. Maybe that's the wrong way to view it. However, but we didn't make those decisions when our soul, oops, come on, Seymour, contract play out in a much different way. And then by making those decisions now, it is fulfilling our soul contract more than it is changing it. Does that make sense? So kind of like we're meant to make those decisions. Yes, we have free will as to whether we choose to make them, but most of the time they're decisions that are kind of common sense things to do. Yes, it's what your guides are making you do, Karen. What went over your head, Marianne? What Aaron said? What happens to a person who doesn't let go of their negative experiences and can't go to the fifth dimension? Where does the soul go? You just cross over and you reincarnate into a different lifetime. Like some people choose that. Some people choose that because that's their path for their soul's growth, is they choose to just, not get there. And to, when their time comes to die, they die, and then they cross over, and then they plan what their next life is going to be, and then they're born somewhere else other than a human lifetime experience. Yep, free will. You wouldn't necessarily come back here, Aaron, in another human lifetime. You might be born to a different planet. You may be a different race of being or species altogether. You're meant to make those decisions like Pee-wee and Pee-wee's Big Adventure. I meant to do that, basically. Hey, Chris. So what are spiritual ascension symptoms, i.e., also known as ascension sickness? Some people reference it as. Slept through your alarm. I know I'm being humorous now. Is that why most of the fifth dimension from the band in the 60s are alive anymore? Okay, that was a bad joke. We'll leave that right there, Gina. Yeah, so Aaron, like if there are those that choose to, for whatever reason, they are stuck in their realities of now times, and that's who they're going to be. You know, like I tell you that all the time personally, that I can't impact your line of thinking any more than I have. And I've given you all the tools I can, but it's up to you to choose to pick them up or use them or not. And if you don't, that is completely your choice. And that is perhaps meant to be that you are being exactly who you are meant to be in this life, making the choices you're making, and that it'll just have an impact on what your next life will be and where and how it plays out. So ascension sickness. So some of the experiences people can feel when having their ascension, their awakening, people can get ringing in the ears, headaches, vibrating back and forth when standing still or feeling like you're vibrating back and forth, pain in the teeth and jawline, fatigue, less or more sex drive. You can get more vivid dreams, depression, loneliness, electrical zaps, nausea, sensitivity to light and sounds, and body pain. It wasn't that good of a joke, Aaron, just saying. So why does it happen? Why do we experience those negative physical symptoms? You get more light vibrating at higher frequencies, and they're being brought into your body, and that they vibrate faster and faster. So our bodies are, I got a cat hair all over my nose, sorry, are designed to be super dense in this 3D dimension. Your body is basically being rewired. A lot of old emotions can also come back or come up to be observed and cleared or released. And of interest to note is this whole process. Yeah, exactly, Natalie. It's like ascensions. They're symptoms of your awakening and your physical form that is experiencing as your body is being rewired to handle the higher frequencies. So of interest to note with all of this stuff is that the whole process began back in 2012 when we incorrectly interpreted the Mayan calendar foreseeing the end of the world, right? We all thought that they were predicting the end of the world. They weren't. They were predicting this shift in consciousness that's occurring, and it started back around then, and it's been happening, and we are moving towards more and more people residing in the fifth dimensional consciousness. Again, there are those that are not going to get there, and that's their choice. We can't impact those people, but the majority will, and the world will change as a result of it, because how can it not? You know, we're going to recreate what we're living in the 3D reality because of how we're viewing it is shifting. And when most people start viewing it differently, what we tolerate and allow and accept will change. And so things on the outside world will have to change as well in order for there to be calm and peace and having a new way of doing things in our daily lives in the public, because the old ways aren't going to work. So it's interesting to note that all that really, that was really what the Mayans were predicting those thousands of years ago to happening and shifting. And now it wasn't the end of the world. It was that the shift was going to begin to raise things to the fifth dimensional consciousness. Mom, what happens to people when they become ghosts? I think that they're choosing to stay here, or do they have to stay here because they don't want to let go to ascend? It can be both, Aaron. So if someone is residing in this dimension as a soul being, they don't really like the term ghost. That's our term, but they're not fond of it. So sometimes someone can stay behind out of choice of I have unfinished business that I need to take care of. They don't want to accept that they died, or sometimes they may, death may have happened so quickly that they really didn't internalize their death in order to say, underneath it all they do, but like on a surface level, they don't see it as they died. And so they continue on with life as usual, or even spending their time looking for their lost loved ones who already crossed over, but because they didn't go when they were supposed to, they're still here and they kind of don't realize how to cross over, and that you really have to only ask and then it can happen. So it's one of those things to where the reasons for staying behind can vary. Or, for example, with certain religious beliefs, if you have say if you did horrible things in this lifetime, but underneath your core foundation of beliefs is that you were going to burn in hell for it, you may choose to stay behind instead of crossing over because you're afraid of the consequences. That isn't the actual consequence or how it works, but people are taught that it is. And so because they're not 100% sure, they will stay behind rather than possibly face that as a reality. Does that make sense? Aaron, pay attention to the topic. Not Aaron, my Aaron, the other Aaron. Shifting consciousness is happening. Some are yelling loud. Oh, so loud. Correct. Back in 2012, we started. It's been a slow moving process because we are a collective, and as a society, we have to go slow so everyone can get on board. But yeah, some more can who are going to. Okay, good, Aaron. Glad you're with me, sweets. Yep, you said that up above, Aaron. All right, so other symptoms of ascension and what to do about it. So the first one is waking up a lot between 2 and 4 a.m. Why does that happen for those who do? I'm a night owl, and so I am always awake then anyway, most of the time. So I don't wake up then, but when I was a daylighter, could I say that it happened? Yes. So let me just message this person on my other tablet so they know I'm live. Sorry, on air in Willows Bend now. Heart. Okay. Some people just forget that I'm on still, or don't pay attention when, to their notifications, and will message me, and I'm like, I can't talk now. Sorry. Let me plug this in too before that gets any lower charge. I always said that didn't find the key. I read a book years ago, Zoloft, Book of the Spirits. Interesting. Every single night you wake up then, yeah. So sometimes you can wake up and having a dream with a message in it, or even get an angel number to go and look up. Right. Some people, everybody's different with their schedules, of course, but those who are normally sleeping then can wake up a lot during that time. Hey, Stacia. I'm learning this and I'm not accepting it though. Yeah. Well, but there is no choice because we can't control that, whether someone else is with us or not. And when you recognize they are, then you move on because you're not going to fix them. You can't make it better. And so kind of it is what it is. So that's one of the other symptoms, is that you can wake up between 2 and 4 all the time. And it can be because you had a dream of a certain message coming through. Even if you're not consciously remembering what it was, doesn't mean it's not still in there and that you're not getting the message, or, a certain synchronicity number, whatever it is. Doesn't mean you're not still experiencing stuff. Okay. So you can get ascension headaches. And with that can come headaches, dizziness, teeth pain, fatigue, and ringing in the ears. What you doing, babes? Where you want to go? You can get up there. Go ahead. You can get up there. I got it. Go ahead. It's not going to move on you. It's pretty firmly squished into space. Okay. or not. So if all else has been ruled out medically, then it's more than likely ascension sickness. If you've already begun your awakening, then you're more likely to have these things. As long as there's not a medical condition that could be behind it and you've ruled it out, well, when all the possible things are ruled out, what are you left with? The impossible, the improbable. Well, then it's time to look at those things, right? So many new pathways for light are opening, especially around your third eye chakra, which can cause pressure, headaches, and light sensitivities to things. New incoming light codes, which are energy patterns, sacred geometries and colors, sound waves, light patterns, and frequencies that all of creation emit. That's what light codes are. So if you hear that term, now you know what it is. Still finding that because of my subconscious not wanting to open to new energies, it plays its part in my dreams, scaring me, making me think there's negative things trying to get me in my sleep. Right. And so that's something that I think over time you will come to recognize and release that you do have control of in that space. And it's letting go of the fear factor. And I think that's what you're still holding on to that's leading to that. So new incoming light codes, which are energy patterns, sacred geometries and colors, sound waves, light patterns, and frequencies that all of creation emits, are coming through and are clearing out all that no longer serves you. We do need more physical rest now. That's why so many are more fatigued and tired now. Our bodies are working hard to accept all this new energy and get used to it. And so, yeah, it's going to be exhausting. And some of us do have medical conditions that just, exacerbate the fatigue aspect and can cause us to naturally feel more fatigue. But taking naps is a good thing. The most brilliant people in the world were nap takers. Yesterday morning, I actually got up, called Isis into my room, saged, drummed, and cleansed my room over this. Cool. Take a flamethrower in your dream, not knowing exactly what was happening. It is something that, again, it's something in you is rooted in fear of that not knowing and of how you process things because of your particular lens you wear. So it's understanding that, yes, sometimes our soul can travel to other dimensions where there can be negative things in it, but you wouldn't go there if you weren't able to defend yourself. Is that what days, Mom? Sometimes I get headaches for no reason. If, Aaron, you have ruled out the medical stuff, which you need a physical still, but I've been pushing you to do that for years. You haven't done it yet, so it's on you for that. Like, I can't make you get a physical. I can't make you take care of yourself medically. So you're an adult, you're a grown man, and you're either going to do it or you're not. And again, that's one of the things that I see I can't impact in you, so I stepped away from it. So if you can rule things out medically as being the cause, then what is left is what could be the reason why. Just call it pinhead. I was dreaming the other night and I was in a room filled with people naked. I said to myself, it's just a dream. Nobody cares. Sometimes we have to remember we are dreaming and take a stance. Sometimes, like most of what happens in dream time, is your soul traveling and experiencing things. It has its own life on the other side of the veil with different people than what we know here, because they're not, they're alive there, not here. So they're in their energetic forms there, and we know them there from past lives and relationships, but they haven't reincarnated on our timeline here with us. So we know them there. We're doing things with them. We have activities, we have relationships, we have jobs, we have missions. All that stuff exists over there. And as your soul self, you can be traveling to different places in the universe. You can be going on a mission that you've been going back and reviewing another lifetime you had somewhere else. Yes, fears that we have in our waking life can play out in our dreams, but overall, we're doing all that other stuff. Yes, see, I purposely cut myself off from energies, both higher and Gaia, before I came into this human experience, so I'm not used to this. And of course, add in the condition of childhood, it adds up to unfounding fears. Right, so that would be up to you to choose to release that or not, because it's not serving you. I have a physical every October. I'm fighting against my DNA. I'm on meds to counteract my DNA. Yeah. But see, you're keeping up with your health stuff. So if one can rule out health reasons, physical health reasons for that stuff happening, then again, when all the physical possibilities are ruled out in our 3D reality, then what is left to look at except for the things that are more impossible? Hey, Isis, how are you, honey? How you doing, lady? Okay, so your clairaudient centers may be opening up as well. Clairaudient is hearing. So like sometimes being able to hear messages, hearing conversations amongst other soul beings, etc. Those can be opening up as well and leading to, pain in your jawline and in your ear area. And these send light around your temple and ear space, which can cause the ringing in your ears. You can hear. There can be different reasons for the ringing. I don't fully reside in a place of thinking that it is spirits having conversations amongst themselves. Now, maybe sometimes it is, or somebody trying to come through to give you a message, because every time I have asked what that is, or everybody else I know who have stopped in that moment and asked what's making that tone, or somebody have a message for them, they never get a reply. So I'm more inclined to think that it might be this instead that is causing that ear ringing stuff, rather, as long as tinnitus and ear hearing issues has been ruled out physically, medically. And then again, if you're still experiencing stuff, well, it could be that. You can get down, baby. Nothing's in your way. Look, go ahead. You can get down. It's all clear. You got it. Okay. You might need to go out. I took them out last, probably around 7 tonight, and it's going for 10, so he probably does. Earlier, I was talking to a friend about how galactic beings can show up in our dreams as people we are familiar with, which made me remember a dream I had about my friends running from another friends. Oops. But there was something weird about that friend. Yeah, that could be. When I wear my hearing aids, I don't hear the ringing in my ears. Well, and it could be, either you're at a different frequency with your hearing, with those hearing aids, or it could be, that it is a medical issue. Wow. So I'm going to go let him out real quick. He usually doesn't stay out too long once it's dark. I have to take my other tablet with me because that's the one broadcasting me. So I'm going to leave the ones with getting the comments in the group here, just because I don't want to carry both tablets with me. So bear with me while I run them out really quick. Go ahead, watch out. I don't want to knock you into you when I get out here. So let's grab this one. Got it. Okay, you gotta go out? Yes, no? Gotta go out? Psst, Jake. If you need to go out, yep, turn around. Go towards the door, because that's the direction to out, right? Set you down. I really detest this walker, just saying. It's totally wrong for me. But my other one needs repair. And when I went to town today, move over. There's only one place within 2 counties that repairs walkers here, and so they apparently no longer have the same guy working for them. Move over, as they did last summer, who repaired it. The other wheel that had a problem. And so she said, oh yeah, well, I'm hoping for the next couple of weeks. Check back with me, but I can't guarantee we'll have somebody here who can fix it. So I'm without my normal walker for at least the next couple of weeks. Go ahead. Go ahead. Don't get hung up. Go ahead out and go potty if you're going to go. Pay attention. At nighttime, he likes to peek around the doorway before he ends up going down the ramp. Now let's see if he actually succeeds in not getting hung up. Probably not. Nope. He will. Oh, I'm just going to come out because he ends up getting it caught under the woodwork of the walkway down here. He got himself hog-tied earlier, quite literally. He ended up well, there it goes. Tried to catch it and it didn't. Hang on. Yep. It's too dark to kind of see them well, but there's one of those really tall clothesline hanging poles out here, and somebody, previous tenant, had like a satellite dish set up here. So both of those are probably, I don't know, 4 or 5 feet apart out in the yard, and he likes, I don't even know what he's drawn to in that space, but going in between them and around them, I think the foundation of the house maybe. And he'll get himself wound up, and then he goes into panic mode when he gets caught on it. And he's been getting hung up almost every time he goes out in the last week. And I keep having to go out and save it because he panics. So at this point, he got it wound around the poles. He started to unwind it by reversing his direction. And then at the last minute, went the other way, moved over, and ended up getting it wrapped around both back legs and one of his front legs. He almost fell over. And I'm like, really? Just hold on. Really? Just stay still. Let me unhook you. Oh my God. Talk about an adventure. There. Okay. Let's see. Catch up on comments. Okay. Minus medical. Yeah, so what I was saying is that probably the use of the hearing aids fixing it means it's a medical issue. My dogs are always annoyed when I'm listening to these shows, that yet they follow me wherever I take the computer. I think they're interested as I am. Aw. Okay. Well, you know what, though? All those experiences from your grandmother, you can continue holding on to them as traumas or release them and take what lessons there are to learn from them and let them go, or not. You know, it's totally your choice how you view them and whether you choose to hang on to them or not from a negative standpoint. How much does it cost for a new hearing aid? I don't know, honey. I don't have hearing aids. I have hearing loss too, but I personally opted not to get hearing aids, even though they would help me, because I've taught myself along the way how to read lips and certain adaptive techniques. So I was afraid of losing them if I got hearing aids. So I don't have any, unless you're meaning walker. No, you never treated your kids that way and you broke the multi-generational curse of it. But I think that in a lot of ways you hold on to the trauma that came from you. And that's something for you to explore for yourself or not. You know. Yeah, let me know, Erin, if you're meaning walker instead of hearing aids. But I don't know how much my model costs because when I got it, you know, it was covered by Medicaid and Medicare. And I don't have Medicaid anymore, but yeah, it has to be processed through them and doctor ordered and all the whole 9 yards. So this one Aunt Bonnie got me, and it's just the wrong shape and size for me. And the guy who I had put it together, who claimed he knew what he was doing, put the wheels on backwards. And so the brakes don't hook up right. And it's just shaped wrong for me. So it ends up putting my center of balance too far out in front of me rather than right next to me, like mine does. So it's just, yeah, it's not the right walker for me, but she did the best she could. So yeah, I'm not sure the price, probably several hundreds of dollars, because I'm a big woman. So I would need something I can sit down on, which is part of why I have it, is when my back, the spasms get too bad, I can sit down. And also to be the right shape one, I would say probably $200 or $300. So anyhow, yes, Renee, we learned from the thing that happens in our life. Yes. Donna, are you part of your town's group page? Someone might be able to help you out. Maybe it's just some of them, again, because, I'm plus size, I need a certain kind of walker to be the right shape and size for me. And I need the ones that you can sit on. So it has to be able to hold a certain level of weight, which, no, I'm not saying online. And it also has to, be like, mine is more square shaped. So it comes closer to me. So it's easier for me to lean on it for support as I need it. This one has me walking out in front of me with it. So yeah, it just isn't the right kind for me. And then the guy put it together wrong to boot. So it's all kinds of messed up. And there's no brakes because he couldn't get the brakes hooked up because the tires are on backwards. Front tires are in the back tires are in the front. I've had many negative experiences in my life, says Natalie. I've had to learn from them, but I try to let that shit go. You may be reminded as you recall other players, and that's natural. Try to shake off the negative and realize that the experience does not define who you are, even if it brought you to where you are today. Right, and that's the whole part of taking it, examining it. You've already experienced the emotions surrounding it. And so you release it because you've already taken what lessons there were to take from it. So why keep holding on to the pain of it when it's not serving your greater good to hold on to it? Tanya, they only cover walkers every 5 years. Even though they're cheaply made, they're supposed to last you 5 years, which is dumb. But so yeah, it only goes that long, unfortunately. And I've only had mine going on 3 years. So the one I have has to hold out for another 2 years. But you can stay broken or be beautifully broken, Karen. You can heal to the point where you're as healed as good as you're going to get, and you've released that pain from you. And you're doing your thing and you're still evolving and walking your path without being held back by your past. You're not still towing that little red wagon behind you of all the bags in it of your drama and your past crap. Because there is no room for it in the fifth dimension. So you're never going to get there if you can't release it. And it has to be a choice to let it go, because it's not serving your greater good anymore. It's not helping. You've already taken the lessons you can from it. And yes, through the process of ascending, it can bring those things up to you. But again, you recognize it, you observe it, you kind of decide through choice, hey, you know what? You're not serving my greater good anymore. Yes, this was a bad thing I went through, but I did take this and this and this from it. This is what it taught me, and it taught me strength. It taught me strength, perseverance, whatever those lessons are. But you know what? You're not serving me by carrying you any longer. I release you. Even if you do that anchor visualization where you picture it as being an anchor and you drop it into the earth and then you lop off the chain, connecting it to you, and you walk away. Burn that wagon. Let go of the idea of being broken. If you were broken, you wouldn't be evolving. Exactly. That's what I differentiate with being beautifully broken. And I only use that term because to show, yes, you had traumas in your past, but you've resolved them as best as you can. You're as healed as much as you can be, and then you've let them go. But if you choose to keep carrying them with you, well, you're going to keep dealing with the pain from them, and you won't be able to make it into the fifth dimensional consciousness, not fully, because that stuff don't fit in there. It's not meant to. So the third thing you might experience, it's okay, Erin. Exactly, me too, Karen. So with teeth pain, now again, make sure you rule out any dental issues or problems. But if you have, then it could be that you're experiencing it from one's telepathic channels are held in your jawline, your sinuses, and in your teeth. Higher frequency light also may be entering in those places, causing toothaches. And again, be sure to rule out the dental issues. And actually went into her room. Holy cow, Erin, good for you. Yep, it's an ancient Chinese practice to put things that are broken back together with gold, and hence making them still beautiful. They're changed and they always will be, but there's still something of beauty. So, new light codes from the sun are also trying to clear your channels of higher communication or ESP to come through. So what to do to help the aforementioned symptoms? A diet, an organic whole food diet is recommended if you can. That will support your body while awakening. Mainly goods free of chemicals, pesticides, etc. These goods are higher vibrational and match the faster vibrations of the light your physical body is now trying to hold on to. And again, sleep more if you need to, and drink more water. Meditation can also help with mindful breathing, meaning controlling the breath. Can also help you deal with these symptoms. It does make them more beautiful, absolutely. So number 4, some people may experience higher physical strength, endurance, and a higher sex drive during the ascension to 5D. It is progress. He is getting there. These symptoms can be short-lived and are experienced more in like Kundalini type of awakenings, which is a spiritual energy at the base of the spine, and is usually visualized as a snake winding through and connecting your root chakras with your other chakras, and it's about meditating with breath and so forth. Number 5, fears and negative thoughts, how to deal with that stuff. As you take on more higher levels of light, you can be confronted with all your fears and negativity that you've hidden away but not processed. Sometimes we put it away and stuff it down inside of us without ever dealing with it, and then it just piles up, right? He does either shout across at you or he messages you when he's right in the next room. So you can't take your baggage with you on this journey to the 5D reality. One has to look at it as it comes up, process it, and then release it. Yeah, juice has a lot of sugar in it. They do have lower sugar levels, lower sugar juice, or 100% natural juice without the sugar, which you can have. But yeah, water is best because it doesn't have pesticides and processed chemicals, fats, and all that other stuff that are not good for us. Okay, so more often than not, the ugly past experiences are held in a deep, dark box at the root chakra. So clear it often in order to ease these symptoms. by visualizing, the root chakra color is red. So all one has to do to clear it is basically visualize, a red light coming down over top of you, surrounding you, and going all the way through you. And that balances that chakra essentially. And so let's see, don't argue with fear, past trauma, guilt, shame, doubt, or any other negativity you've learned to hold on to. Number 6, hearing voices that are not your own. A lot of these, quote, voices are those of your guides. Mindful meditation can help to let go of your inner critic, your victimization and shadow self. Simply observe them as they come in and come up. Don't argue with them or hold on to them. Let them pass right on by you while focusing on the next breath. No, that's better for you, Erin. I don't, I drink watered down iced tea. I have 1 soda a day, and then I switch to water. And then by supper time, I switch to half strength iced tea, and then water again for the rest of the night until morning. Well, I keep the water all day really until supper time. But the inner critic in terms, Karen, of, that voice that tells you all the negative stuff and bad stuff about yourself. Well, and it's okay to have other things, just making that the minimum, or less sugar kinds that have of juice, like the low sugar kind or no sugar added type of kind of juice. I get tired of water all the time too, hence the iced tea, watered down iced tea and 1 soda a day, because it breaks it up. But I do love ice cold water. Has to be cold. I can't drink it room temperature. So I just make sure it stays cold. And lemon or lime to make it palatable, so the water has a weird taste. Yep. And you can even buy special filters to filter the water cleaner than what it might come out of the tap as. There are ones on the market that are better than even the Brita water system that, you pour it into the pitcher to filter it. There's better systems of filtration than that. And yeah, Well, that's just it, is don't let her poke at your flubber, Sometimes you can, number 7, feel disconnected, lonely, and homesick. You see the ugliness in the world and you've been wounded by it. You begin to remember and long for your true home where all that doesn't exist. So how to cope with it? Oh, well water can be some of the cleanest water. When I lived at my house, I had a guy who worked for a filtration company come out, and he's like, oh, we'll give you a free case of soda of your choice if you let us test your water. Okay. And each test he did, he kept expecting it to be, the next test to be full of chemicals. And each test came back completely negative. And the last thing was, oh, it's really high in minerals, and oh, that can cause problems. Well, you know what? I'd rather have a slightly elevated mineral content than not at all. And otherwise, I really can't tell the difference between my well water and bottled, like it tastes like Poland Springs water. Well, that kind of a voice isn't a bad thing, Karen, to keep you on track for your health. However, the one that tells you you're a worthless piece of shit, that's not okay. And that's what you got to release. Nice, Isis. On the fruit flavored water they sell at the store. It depends what it's flavored with, Erin. It's much better to flavor it yourself. Buy like a fresh piece of fruit, cut it, and then stick it in the water. Or say if it's lemon juice, buy a lemon and cut it up and squirt the juice into the water. And it gives it a nice hint of lemon flavor without adding sugar or anything else. It's just enough. Best water I had was well water. I buy distilled water now. Yeah, minerals are good for you, Shungite in water purifies it too. Yep, absolutely. So, like, yeah, my well water was as clean as filtrated water was, like Poland Springs. And I literally couldn't taste the difference in how they taste. Okey-dokey. Right, but you're able to recognize that he was calling you that because of the stroke and how it impacted your brain. Shungite is a stone, Renee. It's a crystal stone you can buy. It's let me see. I actually, oh, here it is. No, let me get it. This is shungite. It also has protective qualities too, but it can also be used to help protect you from EMF emissions from computer screens, and it can help cleanse water as well. So that is shungite. It's a rock. The lime and the coconut and drink them both up. Exactly. I find that as an empath, I feel sorrow, I feel pain from others, and it does give me a physical response. You know, we're going to cover that in a minute, Natalie. Yes, lemon is a good detoxifier too. Okay, so how to cope with that loneliness, disconnected feeling, or homesickness. Release your third dimensional thinking and the crap that comes with it via journaling, meditation, exercise, and also don't be afraid to ask for help from your guides, ascended masters, archangels, and source energy. Number 8, feeling overwhelmed by lights, crowds, and loud noises. So you're probably a strong empath. Here we go, Natalie, like I just said. You're probably a strong empath and need strong empath tools for protection from that energy. Saunas help too, yep. Too many times you're trying to save loved ones and friends who don't want to be saved realistically. Again, they are resisting the change. I have to remind myself that didn't happen to me. I also think as I recall those feelings, it isn't helping the person who experienced the situation. Right. And so it's finding things to protect you from taking on those energies. So, and again, you know, we may try to save people because we see they're in need to be saved, but many don't want to be saved. They're not ready to make those changes. Stop this, Captain Save-A-Ho, exactly. You know, like, you know, we're not ready to change, and you can't control anything other than your own stuff. So when you see that you're not making an impact, you step back from it is the number one key tool. But you first acknowledge, know, learn, and love the universal law that we cannot control what others think, say, or do, only what we ourselves do. Wear protective crystals to help protect you from energies that are not your own, like black stones. Black tourmaline is a great one. Selenite can also work. Obsidian, pretty much any black stone is a protective stone. And when holding it, you can program it to help you with a certain aspect of protection. So for example, please help protect me from taking on other people's energies as my own. I don't think folks who have died, for example, want us to keep replaying their death. No, they don't. But again, grief is something that very individually has to be resolved because we miss how their physical presence made us feel. And that's the part that has to mourn and get used to them not being there physically anymore, but to understand that they're still here, just in a different energetic form. And they come and go all the time. And every time I've ever done a reading, they always say that, you know, they are fine, for one, that they don't miss any special holidays or events or anything like that. And so they're around. Absolutely, but we're not done yet. There's more. But wait, there's more. So in addition to the black stones, selenite can also be a good one. a lot of times having it be something that is touching your skin is going to help you more than, say, just throwing it in your pocket, Will, or carrying it in your car. I wear this is Nuamite. It's the oldest stone, I think one of the oldest stones in the world, and it's only found up in Iceland. And that's one of my protective stones I keep on all the time. Yeah, exactly. Any black stone will work. Grounding practices, practicing grounding to release any energy you've taken on from others. Sage yourself and your environment. Get back to nature. Spend time in nature is good. Clearing your energy via a bath or a shower. You can even throw salt down on the floor of your shower and stand on it, and that will help draw out any energies within you that aren't helping you or are negative and whatever. No folks who crossed over want us to celebrate them as opposed to feeling sorry for them in the way they died. Absolutely. No, they always tell me during readings that they're more than happy, that they don't even have words to describe the joyous state that they now live in, and that no, they don't want us worrying about them or staying in a hyper saddened place. Yeah, I have a lot of obsidian. I'm definitely an obsidian girl. Black tourmaline works well with me too, though. So you can also experience feeling cold, bone-chilling, cold chill, and you can't warm up. Now, this one's interesting for me personally because periodically, without rhyme or reason, I have experienced this. I used to think that because it's called, what is it called? I'm blanking on the name. Anyways, it's basically when I get up too fast, my blood pressure bottoms out. So when I get up to standing, I have to take a beat before I take a step to make sure the room's not going to spin on me or I don't get vertigo. And same thing if I am laying down and I sit up too fast, I get head rushes and stuff. So orthostatic hypotension, it's called. It's a technical term for it. Now, I used to think that is what was causing it. Because I tested this theory out, and it isn't always like, a lot of times it used to come, say, when I had to jump out of bed to go to the bathroom. And so I rushed to sit up and stand and move to go to the bathroom. And I used to think, I got up too fast. And maybe this is why, is my blood pressure is bottoming out on me. And that's why I'm experiencing this. But excuse me, it has happened other times when I didn't actually get up to cause my blood pressure to bottom. But I have experienced it to where suddenly I will start getting the types of chills you get like with the flu when you are like extremely ill, and when like your teeth start to chatter or just about chatter, you feel that chilled and all your muscles tighten up and go into muscle spasms. It's horrible. And no, you cannot get warm. I've had, blanket after blanket piled on me and I still cannot get warm. So I've experienced this before. So that can be one of the symptoms you get. You can have memory loss. Consciousness is expanding and time is condensing to a single point in time, which is the present now moment. So it can take longer to reconnect past memories once you've released all the trauma or baggage from those past memories. It can be harder sometimes to put them in order that they happen in, or what exactly all the details were. Once you release the trauma and the baggage, you're not using those in order to measure timelines. You're clearing it out before you're doing it. So how you are remembering stuff isn't the same as it once was. Exactly, Natalie. I didn't ever connect it to this until I was doing the research, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's got to be it. Is because like it is, I do get that. Not with any regularity, maybe once every month or every couple months, it'll happen to me. But when it does hit, it's horrible. You are absolutely freezing, teeth chattering, like you got thrown into a cold body of water. It's that cold. It's terrible. And it takes forever in order to get warm back up again. So that can be an ascension symptom, apparently. My doctor was clueless as to what could be causing it medically, because I did rule out my blood pressure dropping. You can have mood swings going from manic to low and depressed. You didn't say anything that didn't fit into this, so you're good, Natalie. So again, from the positive spiritual ascension energy running through you, it can be harder to feel balanced because you do now experience the world in a childlike wonder compared to what we used to. Insomnia. You can have trouble shutting your mind off because of your excitement at being awakened. You have to at least rest your body or use meditation to make up for the lack of sleep, because when you are sleeping is when your body does any physical repairing of tissue, soft tissue. So you do need that downtime for your body, but insomnia can be a side effect of it. Number 13, more productivity. You may get the urge to accomplish everything all at once done. And remember, though, that ascension is a marathon into 5D, not a sprint. Stretch it out. It's going to take time to get there. You don't rush to get there. It's not a race. So you're not going to get everything done all at once off your list. Number 14, you can experience more anxiety. As your consciousness accelerates its shift into 5D, one can have more anxiety, and it's due to higher frequencies sent to the planet to assist in the awakening and the density leaving mass consciousness. Because again, in physical form, we are very dense beings. So we are experiencing the light energy coming down in, which can lead to feeling anxious. And this can pull from pain, anger, grief, guilt, and shame forward for us to look at, and then again, release it. No one understands the new energy shifts or are resisting it, or not everyone understands it and can resist the energy shifts, which you can't impact that. And as always, taking care of yourself to stay as balanced as you can during these processes helps immensely in how long the symptoms can last. Can go on for months or it can be years. Poking my belly dense, right? Well, look who you're talking to here, Karen. So ascension to the fifth dimension. The earth is moving through, whether we like it or not, or whether we understand it or not. It is changing and shifting, but you don't have to struggle upstream against it. Many of you have heard me say that the 3D reality we live in wasn't constructed overnight, and by the same token, it won't be rebuilt overnight, which is true. And the global unrest that we are experiencing now is the shift having started. And with the natural disasters and the disease in the world and the unrest of people, it's all part of it. One's immediate environment is a product of or a mirror of your inner self. So what do you see when you look in the mirror? What do you see about your inner self? And that's a check of what's around you or what's going to be around you. And so again, all those things, the disease, the natural disasters, the unrest of people at the current standards, people are starting to accept it less because they're shifting more. So the former ways of doing things are becoming less acceptable. So remember to be the change you wish to see in the world. Now, you could also have awareness of higher beings in the 5D reality. is a growing awareness of other beings higher in the hierarchy of knowing than us. They're also known as nature spirits, angels, extraterrestrials. One can learn to communicate with them via telepathy, although one may at times actually hear words being spoken. Yeah, and it's like all of the Asian hatred stuff that's been going on towards Asians. Again, it is those old ways of doing things becoming less acceptable because we are reconstructing our 3D reality. We are shifting, and so the earth has to too. But in order to shift, it has to be deconstructed. And how do you deconstruct? You take it apart. And how do you take it apart? It's by bringing attention to it, making it in the public eye, to bring it into people's awareness of, hey, this isn't working. This is not acceptable or okay. This needs to change. And so we're going to see that stuff for a while. It's going to get bad before it gets better. I got told that 5 years ago by my guides. When I look at myself, the more and more I grow into the spiritual presence, I'm trying to be more childlike and look with wonder. And I think you're accomplishing that, Aaron. That's one thing that, besides our past life connection stuff that allows us to get along as we do, is that you do have that. Sandy asks, if we shift into higher dimensions, will the people we love still be around us and be the same? They will only be the same if they haven't shifted with us. So we are still in our physical bodies at this point, Sandy. We are simply shifting into a new consciousness, a new way of thinking, which is higher than where we currently are. So it's not that we are leaving our physical bodies going to live in the fifth dimension. It is changing your consciousness, your conscious mind, in order to look at things differently, to raise your vibration, in order to be conducting yourself differently than how you always have before. Does that make sense? So it's a consciousness. 5D reality is a consciousness, much like the 3D reality is, except it's higher. We see more in the fifth dimension. Hi, Lori. Well, your humor is part of you, and you shouldn't lose that. Exactly. Your humor is part of your personality. Hey, lady, how are you? So 4 types of multidimensional beings in the encountered in the 5D. You can encounter your guides, other beings who have incarnated as human before, although they aren't incarnated when they started acting as our guides. My humor is preloaded, it's part of my essence. Exactly. Usually they reside in their light bodies in the higher dimensions. And you have more of a broader view of reality than what we have, hence why they can help us. They're assigned to help us, but if you don't want them to, they won't. So you set the boundaries of how much help, if at all, you're willing to accept. That's why so many people can't connect to their guides, is they're afraid of what they're going to encounter. But to understand that they are in no way, shape, or form there to harm you. They're only there to help you on your journey. And once you fully accept that and release the fear, you stand a better chance of connecting to them. You can encounter angels in the 5D reality. These are not incarnate into matter. They say that there's 4 different types of them who have different tasks, but they don't get assigned to a person like guides do. They can and will choose to help you, but they do have free will to not help if they don't want to. Yeah, we love Karen, absolutely. I think all of our loved ones are always in the picture. We can't blame them if they can't keep up. They may react to us differently. Hopefully they will seek out more through our example. Exactly. We can't control whether they shift into that higher consciousness and new way of thinking with us, but they're still going to be around us because we're still in our physical forms when these changes are happening. Extraterrestrials are any beings incarnated into the first through the ninth dimensions that are from a planet other than Earth. Humans can reincarnate as an extraterrestrial in a different life. Animals can come through via light bodies to also help. You can have animal guides. So the fifth dimension is a realm of pure soul, pure love, aka like beyond the veil. Like what I said there, beyond the veil. Get it? That's it for those who are listening who are maybe new to me. I have a Facebook page called Beyond the Veil, where I do readings and stuff on. So it's the fifth dimension is also where your spiritual team resides and where our higher self is. The one unity consciousness way of thinking. It is very precious, absolutely. Okay, Karen. So that is the fifth dimension as a whole. It's a shift in our consciousness through our awakening. I figured some people might, without me pointing it out. It's a shift in our consciousness to a higher way of thinking and viewing the world around us and interacting with the world around us, being aware of those different energies of light coming from higher beings and so forth, who really genuinely want to help us to get to that place in order to grow from and to join them, and so that they can interact with us as well. So it's where the world's heading, whether we're ready for it or not. It's going to get there. It's just not going to happen overnight, and not everybody is going to join into that consciousness. It's an individual choice. And, some people may start their awakening process, but never complete it because they're not ready for it. Whole as in whole, not whole as in whole. Thank you, guys. Yep, this was Karen's topic that she suggested last week. So next week, next Willows Bend will be on March 29th, and we'll be on episode 124. And the topics we have on the table, and for anybody listening out there, you are the audience as well and are welcome to contribute to suggest topics. The best, easiest way, fastest way to get me is on Facebook Messenger, and just message Donna Hawk, 2 separate words. Who Walks the Land is 1 word because that's how Facebook made me enter it. Gorton is my last name, Gorton, and message me on Facebook, and I will get that, and I can add your suggestion to the list if it's a topic we haven't covered before. I'm more than happy, and we vote on it. So you should have a say as part of the audience as well, whether you're watching on YouTube, the website, or listening on the radio on the other side of the world. I've been told I'm crazy many times. I have to love the people that keep coming back, though. Absolutely. Thank you, Erin. So next week's topics to vote on. And if anybody has anything else to throw on there tonight, throw it out there. I will let you know whether we've already covered it, or Sandy Griffin, my other memory person, she knows whether I've covered topics in the past. If I'm not sure. And she always remembers them because she's never missed a single episode, bless her heart. So, and if she doesn't remember, then Sandy Miller, my other Sandy, she remembers for me too. So we have, oops, I just tipped over, whatever. I'll get that real quick. Don't need any leakage happening in my drink cup. All right, so topics to vote on for next week. I know, Laura, I always start at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Set an alarm, whatever, watch your notifications on Facebook, because I put out an event notice the day before a show, and then I always do a reminder notice the day of the show. And I can do a going live in 5 or 10, 15 minutes notice as well. So check your notifications, set an alarm, whatever you got to do. But it's always 8 o'clock Eastern. So next week's topics to vote on, we have medieval birth control methods, Thunderbirds, Tulpas, a Niwatak Dome, the Knights Templar. The Aniwatak Dome is a governmental thing that they botched horribly. That is still the resulting stuff from it is still being felt today. The damage from it, where nuclear testing was done out in the Pacific Ocean on different tolls and islands and stuff, and they moved entire populations of native people who live there in those places. They still can't go back home because of the high radiation levels and stuff, and they botched how they stored the stuff from it. So medieval birth control methods, it was suggested last week, Isis. So we got Tanya for the dome, Sandy for the dome. We should do a book review. The book I'm suggesting is Under the Grandstand by Seymour Butts. I had the greatest surprise today ever. I got to see my grandsons earlier. Congratulations. I'm fascinated with the birth control topic. Okay. Thunderbirds and Tulpas for Aaron. I had so much trouble wrapping my head around the fifth dimension. Thank you. Hey, even I had misunderstood exactly all of what it is. I knew it was a higher consciousness, but I thought it was a separate dimensional place, not so much a consciousness mind state. So I learned a lot too. The dome, says Sandy Miller. I usually have my 2-year-old grandson that is pretty consuming of my time. Renee Turner is the dome. Well, I don't ever get upset if someone can't make the show. If it means something to you, be here. If you can't, that's fine. Life happens. I get it. And that's where the replays come in handy. Yeah, because I read my comments, Aaron, you smartass. Put them in the Iron Maiden, right? That would control things, wouldn't it? My guides recommended I just blurt what they say. Yep. Isis says tulpas. I have to listen when no one's home. The dome sounds interesting because I hadn't heard of it until you talked about it the other month. Yeah, somebody else in the group suggested it, and I think it was Tanya McCormick. She sent me a video on it, and I just was appalled when I got done watching it. Chris says tulpas. They blurted up. Yep, you gave us the fifth dimension too. Yep. That'll teach them exactly. Aaron says tulpas too. Thank you, Gina. I know Chris speaks, so I knew what you meant. Karen says birth control methods. Well, it goes a whole lot deeper than keeping that coin between your knees. I know that. And there were some brutal contraptions to wear to make sure a woman maintained her chastity, so to speak. So speak now or forever hold your peace. Medieval birth control methods, Thunderbirds, Tulpas, Aniwatak Dome, or the Knights Templar. And if anybody comes up with any new topics during the week, whatever, shoot me a message and I will make sure it gets on the list. Yep. Chastity belts, yep. So it looks like Aniwatak Dome wins by 1 vote. Sticking things up there could be another way. Yes, it could be effective. No, Aaron, actually, the pull-out method does not work to prevent pregnancy. there is still a 16 to 22% chance of impregnating a woman from the pull-out method because there is still semen or sperm present in the pre-seminal fluid that leaks out during sex. So there is still a 16 to 22% chance. I researched that. I had a question about it once and I was like, I wonder. And there was a study done on it. So 16 to 22% chance of getting pregnant with the pull-out method. It's not a reliable method of birth control. Exactly, Erin. Well, it has sperm. Semen is the fluid, but the sperms are the swimmers that cause the pregnancy. So that is correct, Erin. That's why I was educating you, just so you know that that is not a reliable method of birth control to promote to women. And oh, thank you, Sandy. One should also, protect them from STDs as well, which nobody ever thinks about.
There's only one provable method that actually works.
Abstinence.
Don't have sex.
Exactly. I have been abstinent.
You can look, but you can't touch.
It's my choice because I won't settle for lowering my bar to be with just anybody who comes along. So I choose to stay single and alone than settling. And so I've been alone for 12 years now. I just shut that side of me off and it's not there. Like, I don't go around getting in the mood or otherwise most of the time because if I can't have the real thing, there's not much of a choice. I need the real thing. It's not a toy thing. It's for me. But yes, no, abstinence absolutely is the one proven method to always protect against pregnancy and disease. Sorry about that. No preggo from those ways. We have other holes. Yes, anyways, we do. Yeah, that seems like a hello, getting a bottle of beer shot up you, hoo-ha. People have put stranger things up there than beer, let's say that. Which that has turned into conversations more than once and topics of what kinds of items in deviant sexual behavior occurs. It's a wide plethora, let's say that. Yep, beer la douche, exactly.
I've actually done that topic before. There's been cell phones up the butt and
Barbie dolls. There have been animals.
A dead bird up the hoo-ha.
A turtle. There was a news story recently of a baby sea turtle. I think it was on a beach. The woman didn't know if she'd been given like a date rape drug or something, or she partied to the point of passing out, but she ended up getting a huge infection down in there, and of course it smelled horrible, and they couldn't figure out why, so she went to the doctor and they pulled out a baby turtle from her vagina. Like, oh my God, I cannot imagine not knowing that or sensing that it was in there, or noticing different discharge from it, starting to degrade over time.
Oh, that's another way of saying I just gave birth to a turtle.
I was just when I read that, everyone in comments in the news story were saying things like, that's got to be a plant or something else. And, again, whether she was drugged and had no memory of it, or she got so messed up she passed out and has no memory of it. But yes, they pulled out a dead turtle, baby turtle from hoo-ha.
Yeah, but what I was saying about sexual deviancies, cell phones are known to be played with and lost up the butt-ha.
I can't even imagine. And I've seen videos before, and that which has been seen cannot be unseen. What those areas of your body can stretch to hold are just gobsmacking to think about or have seen. Yeah, I don't think it was something intentionally done. Yes, thankfully it wasn't a snapping turtle, Karen. No, it was a dead turtle that was a baby turtle that was found in her vagina. She had started getting like an infection and a lot of pain and, of course, odor from it degrading up there, and it was dead. And she went to the doctor, and that was what got found up her vagina, was a dead baby turtle. That they'd had a party on the beach. Was all the last thing she remembered, was this party at the beach, and they had a fire going and all this stuff, and that's all she remembered. She went home the next day and business as usual, and then over the next couple of weeks she started having these symptoms and didn't know why, and well, that was why. Yeah, I can't even imagine not feeling it in there. You know what I mean? Like, they're not like itsy bitsy, they're fairly big, and to not know it's there. And the edges of the shell can be sharp too. I would think that would cause a lot of pain. And jackass Ryan Dunn shoved a toy car up his ass. Like I said, I've seen x-rays showing Barbie dolls. I've seen skeletal remains of rodents. I've seen a whole, it could be a topic in and of itself. It's pretty astounding. I remember when I used to go to a tanning bed, there was a guy that worked in a hospital talking about some dude that got a Coke bottle stuck up his butt. Yep. People don't know boundaries, right? Gag a maggot. Yeah. And it's a personal choice to have that fringe sex life or take pleasure from those things. And if you're a consenting adult, okay, but be aware that what goes in does not necessarily come back out as easily. I will never drink to the point of passing out at a party. Yep, the section heard of that. And you have 2 girls, 1 cup. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing, Aaron, that you exposed me to. That which has been seen cannot be unseen. How does the turtle crawl into your vagina and you not know? I don't know. I honestly don't know. Stevie Nicks was screaming in surgery in Phoenix, Arizona, and was screaming because she had one up her butt too. She was wasted like crazy. I knew the nurse that was in there working at the time. She had what stuck up her backside, Gina? Out of curiosity. Well, that's what the question was, Isis, was she given like a date rape drug and passed out from that? Or did she drink to the point of passing out and blacking out to where she had no memory? But yeah, in order for it to get in there, you would have to be opened up to allow it to get in. Of a Coke bottle. Well, I could imagine that being quite painful to get, having that stuck up in there. So yes, I think that somebody would have had to put it in there, whether for whatever reason she was unconscious, she was, and had no memory of the event. A big bottle. Yeah, so, could be its own topic in and of itself. So, but for next week, according to the votes, it looks like the Eniwetok Dome is the topic to be covered. Do you guys want to keep the Knights Templar on the table? Let me know in chat. And while I wait for that answer, so the schedule following today, Wednesday will be the Seth Speaks book group in Willows Bend, in the room. Friday we'll be doing readings on Beyond the Veil page, and back in here for Monday's show. Good night, Donna. Nothing but love to all. Have a great weekend. You too, Sandy. Yes, keep it on there. Yes, I won again. Nice Templar, all do. Yep, sure. Let me just say this topic went off the charts, and I have to say yikes. Well, we're known for doing that in here. No topic is taboo. I've heard of people doing cocaine up their butts. Oh, interesting. I've heard of them hiding it up there, but not like taking it for ingestion purposes. But
apparently it works faster by ingesting it through the butt.
I know that pain meds and things like that can,
but it can kill you at the same time.
Yes, it can. Yeah. No, I actually, I was so appalled when they suggested this. When my mother once she had gone into kind of the coma state, she crossed from colon cancer, and a couple days before she actually died, she had entered kind of a coma state, and her breathing, because the cancer spread to her lungs and her other organs, became very, very rattled. And they were hospice was in there, and they were checking on her that day, basically. And I was describing that, and they're like, oh, that means she's in pain, and, give her meds. I said, she's unconscious. So how would you like me to do that? And she doesn't have any IVs or otherwise because she didn't want that. So, well, give it to her rectally. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to violate my mother in that way when I don't think it's a pain response. I think it's her breathing because the cancer spread to her lungs, but she is comatose. So I don't think she's feeling pain. And that's not at all the vibe I get. I cannot personally violate my mother that way. Sorry. So I couldn't do it. Some girls soak tampons in vodka and get drunk during school. Ew. Yes, suppositories are rectal medicine, correct? Stevie Nicks did admit to that. Wow. Smugglers get it up, but so they sell it in prison or women's cavities. Yep. That's what I mean, like hiding it in there and stuff. That's not uncommon. I have heard of guys putting a needle in their penis. Lovely. I've heard of guys getting their penises pierced. And I've actually knew one guy who did. I would have done that just putting them up my bum.
I've heard guys getting pierced on the penis and getting stuck.
Getting what, stuck on a penis?
Stuck. The piercing doesn't get stuck. The piercing gets stuck at the hoo-ha.
Oh.
And
I was kind of like
they're
when they
voluntarily entwined.
When it was in my early 20s and back in my party days, pre-mom days, and the guy, I guess didn't really believe him because I'd never heard of it before. And I was like, yeah, right. Like, why would you want to get your penis pierced? And he's like, no, serious, let me show you. I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll take your word for it. He insisted on showing it to me. And yes, he had the shaft pierced. And I was like, why? Like, what is the point of that? And couldn't that possibly, yes, come out in, during sex or whatever? And he's like, no, it's not a problem, but it helps to feel better for them. I'm like, you know what? I could do without that experience. I'm good. Like, I'm good. Anyone else cringing, says Karen. Yeah. Okay, we're going to talk about celebrities. What happened to the Richard Gere gerbil story? I don't know about that one, Natalie, but I can guess. Yes, gerbils, hamsters, that type of thing, mice have all been used to insert via a tube of some kind, like paper towel, roll holder, whatever, into the anal space and gotten stuck there, of course. And they think that its movement as it's struggling to die, or to get out causes pleasure, which not judging, but so yes, those have had to be removed in the ER from the pain of it and all the internal tearing their claws and teeth cause. So there are people, whether it was Richard Gere or not, there are those who have done that and who have gotten those animals stuck up in there and had to have them surgically removed. So it is a thing, whether it was him or not. I don't know about that one, but there are those that have gotten those stuck up in there too and needed to have surgical intervention. So, yeah. Well, look at the guy that played in Kung Fu and how he died. He was had his penis wrapped with string and strangled. He was getting high off it. It was really, really crazy. I'm not sure who you're referencing, but yeah. Yeah, Chris, absolutely. I can't imagine doing that to an animal, but that's me. Yeah, whether someone chose to do it or not, that's their choice. But yes, when you're involving animals, that's animal cruelty. Absolutely. So anyway, if you have to kill an animal to orgasm, you need supervision, said Karen. Absolutely. And of course, Aaron has a YouTube link. I'm not surprised by that, Aaron. All right. So on that note, guys, so next week will be the Eniwatok Dome. Why would you put a glass bottle in your butt or your vagina? Some people take pleasure in it, I guess.
Did I just start a completely new topic?
What's that? No, it could be. And I always tell them no topic is taboo because, I'm a firm believer in that societal norms don't apply to me with that stuff, that you keep it secret, then, something should have a light shined on them. And we've also did have it a topic at one point of um, different sexual practices amongst different cultures. And I thought that might be interesting to do, but nobody was really voting on it. And so we dropped it off the table. I'm a little disturbed how quickly Aaron found a link. Are you ready to kill yourself? Oh, Lord. No, I mean, I can talk about anything without a significant issue to do so. I roll with it. We need to make it talk. It is how people died sexually and sickly and what they did and all that stuff, just like we're doing now, because I think that's an interesting, disgusting, funny topic. Well, yeah, it would be like possibly aberrant sexual behaviors, or, aberrant in the terms of what is not considered socially acceptable. But we had kind of had that in like sexual practices in other cultures before, but it ended up never getting voted on. So once we initially discussed it as the topic, nobody followed up with any votes, but I can put it on there. Aberrant sexual behaviors, we'll call it that. Yes, Katie, make it a topic for your show next. Well, her and Amanda are actually going to be taking a hiatus on Goddesses and Devils. So last night's show was the last one that's going to be for a little while because of too much stuff going on everybody's side. And so when they do resume, it'll be back to being her and Amanda. So for now, it's kind of put on hold for a hiatus. So Isis has had enough of this conversation. She's leaving. Cremate me, put my ashes in a bottle of douche, and run me through one more time. Really, Aaron? Really? You are aberrant in your own self, Aaron. I love you, but yeah, we'll leave that there. So next week, March 29th, 8 p.m. Eastern, we will be covering the Eniwetok Dome. And then Wednesday is the Seth Speaks book group, which of course I will put out the event notice for on Facebook. Anyone who's out there listening or watching on YouTube, feel free to stop by Facebook and join my group. Pop in, take a look, see. That would allow you to be in this chat here and hang out with us all. We are a big family in Willows Bend, so as long as you're not full of drama or a nasty person, you're okay. So anyways, lots of love to each and every one of you. Thank you guys for all coming and hanging out with me and discussing the fifth dimension and reality of thinking. And so I will see you guys around Facebook land as always. Love and light to everybody out there. Thank you all for listening out in the world as well. And much love and light to all. So good night, everybody. See you guys Wednesday in a book group.